Why the audio's down? It's really weird. Did we not do the intro? I hope we did the intro.
I don't think so.
Of course we did.
So anyways, that was our thoughts on the new adaptation of Cowboy Bebop, and hope you enjoyed.
Pubic hair and stuff like that. Basically,
we did talk about pubic hair for a little bit there.
We did. This was really weird. Why did it go down? There's no reason for that to go down.
I don't know. Is that thing down?
This thing's up.
That thing's a little down.
That thing's not a little down.
The second one.
That one is down. It's on purpose.
That's what I said.
Anyway, so we watched the live action adaptation of the Netflix TV show Cowboy Bebop, and it was terrible. But before we get into all that stuff, let me just give you a quick reminder that any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me at Super Dario World on YouTube and on Twitch, live streaming Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at 10 a.m.-ish. If you want to join me, if you want to be a part of the chat, if you want to ask questions and all that fun stuff. Or you can follow me on Instagram at Super Dario World or at Dario SDW. That's the easiest way for you to contact me. So let's get into it, because like I said, I watched every single minute of the show. Every single minute. And I gotta tell you, honestly, I'm kind of happy I did. The show was terrible.
I kind of forced him.
Yes. Actually, you kind of like...
He was gonna review the thing after watching like 3 episodes.
Actually, I figured that's enough. That's enough for you to get an idea what a show is.
I'm like, nah, bitch.
You gotta watch the whole thing.
All the way.
You gotta watch the whole thing. And I was like,
I hadn't watched it either. I was just being a little shit.
And I was like, you know what? He's got a solid point. And so first off, let's break down the news, why the show got canceled. I found like a nice little article here from the Hollywood Reporter, and that was fast. Netflix has canceled its ambitious, widely hyped, and ultimately widely disappointing anime adaptation. Cowboy Bebop, the Hollywood Reporter has learned. The move comes less than 3 weeks after the show's November 19 debut on the streaming service. So it didn't even last a month. Like I said, not even a month. That's pathetic. And so... And the space western had a rough reception. The 10-episode series garnered only a 46% positive critics rating on review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes. Fans seem to agree, giving the show a 56% positive audience score on the site. According to Netflix top 10 site, the series has racked up almost 74 million viewing hours worldwide since its debut, so it got plenty of sampling out of the gate, but it plummeted 59% from the week of November 29th to December 5th. Blah, blah, blah. And it's Insider pointed out that Netflix renewal rate for scripted series have two or more seasons stands at 60%, in line with industry averages. And like all Netflix renewal verdicts, the decision was made by balancing the show's viewership and cost. The streamer also prides itself on taking big swings on projects like Cowboy Bebop, and has mainly other genre shows on the air and in the works. It has many other genre shows in the air and the works. So first off, this show, massively expensive. Massively expensive, right?
And you know what? It kind of shows.
Yes, you can at least see it on screen.
Yeah.
But what a waste of money. All right, so the project is the latest attempt to reinvent Japanese anime as live action that failed to draw viewers following titles such as 2009's Dragon Ball Evolution, 2017's Ghost in the Shell, I didn't see that one, Death Note.
That one was not fine.
The biggest success in the space so far was arguably 2019's Alita Battle Angel. That was great. And you know why? Because the main character is still animated, which pulled sizable foreign grosses, 319 million, if not domestic, 85 million. So
I would argue it's more that it's a good movie.
Yeah, it was well made. You know, it's what is it? What's his name?
Cameron?
No. Cameron, he was an executive producer, but he did Robert Rodriguez. Yeah, he's good. Cowboy Bebop series starred John Cho, Mustafa Shakir, and Daniela Pineda as 3 bounty hunters, aka cowboys, all trying to outrun the past. Daniela Pineda's trying to catch up to her past. Whatever, it doesn't matter. From the show's description, they form a scrappy, snarky crew ready to hunt down the solar system's most dangerous criminals for the right price, but they can only kick and quip their way out of so many scuffles before their pasts finally catch up to them. So, all right. Okay. Hollywood Reporter's Angie Han wrote that Cowboy Bebop was faithful to a fault. I'd believe that that's the issue here with leaden pacing and the sharp
leaden?
I don't know. Leaden pacing and the sharp anime visuals were reduced to muddy CG. The playful humor translated as phony laughter. Yes.
Yeah.
The living greenness replaced with shoddy looking sets. Yeah, some of them. And the remake seems to have no points at all. Thank you very much. So I think that's enough from the Hollywood Reporter. We agree with every single thing you said. So here's the thing.
Well, I mean, to be fair with the sets, they were going for a style.
Yes.
They were not going for, gritty, space opera kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like Cowboy Bebop, the original is more Western.
Yes.
While this is, and
Actually,
kind of takes more noir and stuff.
Yeah, I'd argue that it's more noir than anything else.
Yeah, Western noir, that sort of aesthetic.
Yeah. So
While Netflix Cowboy Bebop was Scott Pilgrim.
yes, it tried to be more comedy than anything else.
Like it had wacky camera angles. It had like the lights, the colors felt more cyberpunky.
Yes, I completely agree. Now, the big issue here, first off, let's talk about live action adaptations and why they seem to not work. And my big issue here, and here with Cowboy Bebop, they do the exact same thing. I don't know why when you're doing a live action adaptation, the actors tend to act cartoony. Like they don't get that. Hey, you're supposed to make this a adaptation. You're not supposed to pretend to be a little bit more cartoony. You know what I'm saying? To me, it looks weird on screen. It looks stupid on screen.
It looks like people wearing costumes, yeah.
Yes, which is not what you're supposed to be when you're watching a movie. You're like, I'm supposed to believe that's you. Like, for example, on the other hand, let's say a video game adaptation, like The Witcher, it's like they're playing it straight. They don't look cartoony at all. Like, mad. This is real. I don't care that if I'm facing like a big CGI monster, I'm taking it seriously.
I'm Geralt. I'm angry and I want to bang a bunch of witches.
Fuck. I dropped the best fucks. Anyway, the thing that I'm upset most about the show is that it took away from me watching Witcher season 2. But I had to honestly, like, okay, so the show we watched the pilot together, and I was like, man, this is stupid. This is not Cowboy Bebop. I hate it. And I was like, I'm not gonna watch it. Then I heard that it got canceled, and it's like, all right, I'll watch 2 more episodes, and maybe that'll be enough for me to form an opinion why it got canceled.
And listen, this is important to understand. Dario's the most negative Nancy about anything he has a negative preconceived notion towards.
First off,
he already had in his mind he was gonna hate the show.
Yes.
The entire time. So he absolutely
people,
nitpicks absolutely everything.
You're preaching to the choir, bro. Like, they know this. Like, they've heard my reviews of shows.
Yeah.
I'm beyond nitpicky with the dumbest things. They annoyed me.
I was the biggest devil's advocate. I was like, let's see.
Let's give him a chance to fail.
I saw the first episode, and I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I didn't love basically anything of the show. Well, I mean, the score, but that's cheating.
Yeah, it's cheating. Yeah. It's not fair.
It's the same composer. What are you doing?
You mean the song that I love? I still love it?
It's great. I was more with an open mind of like, okay, I mean, fuck it. If you're going to do an adaptation, might as well have your own take on it. So the more Scott Pilgrim-y, kind of like wacky, more ironically, this show is more cartoony than the anime,
right?
But it's like, all right, fuck it. If that's gonna be your take, if you want to be more Marvel with it and have your little jokes and whatever, fine. Then that's this thing. I'm gonna set my brain to thinking this is not Bebop. This is just some hack writer's Marvel's version of Bebop.
Right. So to me, I'm not as forgiving as Eric is. I'm like, if you're going to make Cowboy Bebop, you make Cowboy Bebop. And here's the thing. We've already kind of have a live action adaptation of Cowboy Bebop in a way, and it's called Firefly. And Firefly was fantastic.
And it was also canceled.
Yeah, I know, ironically. But it's but for all the wrong reasons. So to me, I was somewhat hopeful that they could actually just do what they did with Firefly. Unfortunately, Firefly is a Western first, sci-fi very close second, comedy third. This Cowboy Bebop was comedy first, sci-fi, then Western, and then noir, which does not work. That's not what Cowboy Bebop is. Cowboy Bebop is first off film noir, Western, sci-fi, then comedy. And it works out in a very, very good way. Because otherwise, you're just watching something silly and stupid, too cartoony, which is not what Cowboy Bebop was.
And again, this always has to come up with the discussion of anime to live action. Who is this for?
Exactly.
Because it's not for anime fans.
No.
Anime fans watch anime.
Yes.
It's in the name.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, they're not going to be like, oh, what is this Cowboy Bebop thing? Oh, wow, it was originally an anime? Well, I gotta wait until the live action comes out to watch. It's like, no, you watch the anime. Because you like anime. You're an anime fan.
Yeah.
So it's like, unless you have like this radically different take on the show that completely changes, like recontextualizes stuff and adds a bunch to the lore, then what is actually the point of the live action?
I don't get it.
Is it supposed to bring non-anime fans into anime? Because it's not anime.
Yeah.
You know?
I think who they're trying to get is, it's a good story. Cowboy Bebop, it's a good show. So they're like, man, what if we just take this story and make it something else and we'll make a lot of money, right? Because it's not, if they want to do like a shot for shot recreation, that's not for the fans, because we already saw it in better. It's like the Lion King. The cartoon one is 100 times better than the CGI one. So
I mean, I can understand from, like, I guess being an asshole perspective of like, I kind of want to see them not do as well as the anime did.
Of course, because it can't compare. Listen, I always talked about this. The advantage that animation has over live action, you got perfect acting, right? Because you can control how the characters look and what they say. You have perfect lighting. You can have perfect sound. You can have so many things that are perfect because you have 100% control over the product that's going to be ultimately released. With actors, you can't do that. And also actors can't do like weird poses the way that
no
anime
JoJo
do.
posing.
No JoJo posing. Also, the eyes are way bigger, and so you don't have the same amount of control. So it's never going to compare. And also, it's a different. Well, it's not a different medium, but it's a different style. And sometimes comedies do not adapt. Do not compare to cartoons. They look ridiculous. They look stupid.
A bunch of the dialogue. It's just kind of cringe.
Well, actually, in this show, Eric showed me a clip, and this Cowboy Bebop is closer to Seinfeld than it was to Cowboy Bebop.
Everything has to be a comedy now.
It's stupid. I don't get it. The Witcher's not a comedy, and it's great. So I haven't seen season 2, by the way. I haven't finished it, but it's not a comedy. Would you agree?
Well, I think the casting is kind of a joke, but yeah.
Well, that's a joke on the fans.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I was like, all right, I could watch 2 episodes. Then Eric was like, you gotta watch it. Otherwise, you
gotta see the baby.
You know what? Otherwise, you're just a poser, man. You're a fucking poser.
You gotta see the baby.
And I was like, you know what? Fuck you. I'm gonna fucking watch it. And I'm so happy I did. Honestly, I'm happy I did. Because
you're welcome.
Eric actually made a pretty good example of this. We were talking about yesterday. Like every single episode I was watching was like, this is another bullet in the chamber. Another bullet in the chamber. Now I can
think about how much better the review is gonna be if you actually see all of it.
Yeah, it's so bad. It's extremely bad, and I got examples. So the big issue from the get-go, from the moment that they announced it, I had an issue with the casting, and I did not think that John Cho, the main character, was cool enough to play Spike Spiegel. And I'm not saying that John Cho's not cool. I'm saying that Spike Spiegel is one of the coolest characters in all fiction. So it's a very high standard for him to reach. Extremely difficult.
And so actually, as we were watching the show yesterday, I was actually looking up clips from the anime to see like how they did it in comparison, because I didn't remember everything in the anime.
Yeah.
But I was like, no, I'm pretty sure this was handled much better. And then I looked it up, and you would see like Spike not even having that many lines, but he had that perfect balance of like snarky kind of being a dick, but he delivers such a good line that people can't get mad at him.
Exactly. It's like he's being a dick.
Yeah.
But it's hysterical.
But it's such a perfectly delivered line that people can't get mad at him.
Exactly. And so John Cho was never going to reach that level. He's just not. There's very few people in history who are that level of cool. So I was
who could have done it? And let's say regardless of like look.
Regardless of look, who's that cool?
Because I mean, Spike has always kind of looked a little. I mean, I always pictured him as being like a Japanese actor.
Listen, it's got to be somebody who kind of looks low energy and aloof. And I like I said, I think James Franco has that kind of factor, like that. Like I'm cool. I don't like that. I don't care. Like kind of like I'm high vibe, but he's actually not high. So
Ryan Reynolds.
No, Ryan Reynolds would talk too much.
I mean, you stop him.
You think you can stop him?
You give him a script. He follows.
No. Listen, I remember this story. You know that Will Smith, he was supposed to be, he was originally supposed to play Neo, right?
Yeah.
All right. Afterwards, when it went to Keanu, because he rejected it, went to Keanu Reeves, and he saw the movie. He was like, you know what? I'm glad I didn't take the role, because I would have taken it and tried to make it my own. I would have tried to make Neo, Will. Keanu didn't do that. Keanu let the movie develop. And so there's actors who let movies develop, who stick to the script, and there's actors who change it to adapt it to themselves. Ryan Reynolds, from what I've heard, because I have talked to certain comedians who were in movies with him. Did you see Deadpool?
Yeah.
Or do you remember like the sidekick? Well, the friend who works the bartender?
Yeah.
I met that guy at the station. He says like, yeah, that Ryan, he wants to be funny. He wants to add things in there. He likes to ad lib stuff, and it's not bad because Deadpool was really funny, and you add those moments. But he has that personality. Also, hey Patty, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. And I think Ryan Reynolds would not be good because of that. He would try to insert himself too much instead of just letting Spike be. It has to be somebody who's laid back and cool. Like for example, James Dean, he kind of has like that James Dean thing. Like, oh yeah, except
I never saw a James Dean movie. So.
James Dean is kind of a whiny bitch. Because if you see Rebel Without a Cause, it's exactly what you would think. Because I hate my dad because he listens to my mom, and it's horrible because I'm a teenager and I'm angsty, and
so he's vicious.
yeah. So honestly, there's a lot of issues here in this show. For starters, the casting. Second off, how they portray the characters. So to me, the biggest thing that's wrong here in this show is what they did with the villain, and that's Vicious, because they.
The name of the character is Vicious.
Yes, and he's supposed to be vicious. Here, they make him kind of like a
bitch.
Yeah, a dumb bitch, and a whiny dumb bitch at that. And so there's moments where you're like, this character could be interesting. The problem is that he's just not vicious. And there's a scene. There's the epic scene. Well, should we go into spoilers? I don't think you're ever gonna watch this show.
I mean, we could. All right, let's finish off with the casting. I think.
Okay. So,
all right, I think, what's his name? John Cho?
John Cho, yeah. Spike Spiegel.
I would give him like a C+.
Yes.
It was you could tell he tried.
Listen.
And you know what? With the physicality, he did really well.
Of course.
Like the fighting, he was actually really good.
Well, here's the problem. The fighting, they cut after every punch. It's not really him. It's the editing.
But...
So you're saying basically the choreographer's really good and the editor's really good.
No, the editor's really good.
Yeah. Well, hey, I'll give you this. The dude has good body language because, sometimes when he's just leaning back, he does look like, yeah, all right, kind of cool there. But
if he
also he's a really small man.
If he just didn't have dialogue, it would work.
Which is kind of Spike. Spike's not talking all the time. He's kind of just like walk around, smoking, doing his thing. Also, for some reason, Faye did not smoke. What the hell?
Not even vape.
Not even vape. Like, what the hell's happening? But anyway,
but I mean, I'll get to Faye.
Oh, we'll get into Faye.
Credit, like, to me, goes to the best casting in terms of like who represented the character the best. A- or B+ for Jet's actor.
Sure.
He felt like Jet.
The
most out of any other character.
The problem is that they made Jet a dumbass.
Well, I guess the corgi felt like the dog. Other than that,
the corgi, yes,
he was a really good actor.
The big issue with Jet is that they made the character a dumbass, and I mean like an incompetent buffoon at times, which is very insulting to Jet because Jet sometimes.
I think that's a bit of an exaggeration.
There's, like I told you, there's a scene where Jet buys a doll from the black market to give to his daughter. Right? He plays it, the doll's like 10,000 won, and he pays 42,000 for it. Then. At the same time, Spike is in a fight. He's fighting against the Afro dude in a rooftop. So Jet runs over there, and in the process of running over there, he drops the doll, gets run over by a motorcycle, sets it on fire. It's all these things. So he looks like an incompetent dumbass there. And there's other things where you're like, okay, he's kind of capable, and then they just make him a complete and total dumbass. That's in the opposite of who they're trying to show. They're trying to show like a good, capable detective, and then he's a complete dumbass. It doesn't make any sense. So to me, like I said, it's the most accurate, probably. The problem was the writing. So it's not the performance. He's performing the way that he should.
Even the voice, it kind of has, hey, Spike.
Yeah. So he did a good job, honestly. Except it's a little cartoony, but he out of all of them.
But he was the least cartoony,
of course.
Probably.
And you know what? Here's the problem with John Cho. John Cho is like if you hired Kirk Cousins to play Tom Brady. It's like, you're not Tom Brady, guy. Like, I'm sorry. You're good. You can run a team. You can get to the playoffs, but you're not gonna win 7 Super Bowls so far. You know what I'm saying? 7 Super Bowls? Is it 7?
It's 7, yeah.
Oh my God, that's a lot. That's a lot of Super Bowls.
Man, you really gonna do Kirk like that, huh?
It's not an insult to Kirk. It's not an insult to Kirk. Kirk's the starting quarterback. I'd rather have Kirk than Derek Carr. But
you really gonna do Carr like that?
Yes. Fuck Carr. Fuck that man. Anyway, so it's one of those things that it's just it was too much to ask for him. It was a complete and total miscast. Now, getting into the character that everybody hated the most here because of the casting, we're gonna go into Miss Faye Valentine and Daniela Pineda here. Now, this chick made a massive, massive mistake when they first showed images of her casting. Do you remember what it was? You were the one who told me this story.
She started complaining about the fans.
Yes.
Because of
she attacked the fans. She was like,
because she did not look exactly like.
Exactly. No, so first off, she kind of tried to be funny. It's like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, my midget ass can't look the way that the voluptuous Faye Valentine, blah blah. And then she attacked the fans.
And she's actually canonically taller than.
Yes, and you know what? I can prove it. I have this image right here. This shows the height. So here you go, Faye Valentine. She's under 170, which would roughly be what?
Let's say 170. Her legs are a bit open.
Oh yeah, and she's wearing heels.
Oh yeah,
she's wearing heels. Like, look at that. She's got that.
Yeah.
And how tall is this actress?
I don't know, like 5'5". I don't know.
5'5", which would roughly be between 160 and 170, approximately.
I don't know. I mean, you can look it up. Look it up.
All right, so let's see, 160.
No, Daniela Pineda's height.
Oh, okay.
What are you talking about?
All right, so 62 inches, which would be 5'2", right? Daniela Pineda height. And it's 5'5". So she's not like tiny. Now let's see, Faye Valentine height. Oh, look at that, 5'6". 5'6". So again, this is what happens when you mess with like autistic people. They're like, no, we'll find out your height and we'll say everything. So she started complaining and she attacked the fans, which made everybody go extremely sour on her. Then they changed her costume.
Bad PR management.
Yes, they changed her costume. Like here, you can see like no skin showing on her, right? You can see Faye Valentine, kind of a lot of skin. And so this is
also, she's a gypsy.
Yeah, this is kind of what everybody expected and wanted. And this is what we got. I think they got another. See, this is kind of what we got. And so this is supposed to be a femme fatale. Femme fatales are supposed to be sexy, you know, dangerous. You're like, my brain is telling me one thing, but my penis is telling me to trust her. That's the definition of a femme fatale in a nutshell, right? It's like, I'm scared, it's dangerous, but my penis is telling me to go in that direction. It's
the woman who makes you make bad decisions because you're horny.
Exactly. That's the definition of a femme fatale.
But okay, fine. They said we didn't want to over sexualize Faye Valentine's character.
Right.
Okay. Fine. That's where you want to go with it. Fine. Let's not over sexualize. So they should make her a regular bounty hunter.
That's the excuse for giving her this costume. Like, we don't want to over sexualize the character.
Yeah. Plus, she has to be in like fight scenes. So it's like, oh, what if it slips or something? As if like double-sided tape didn't exist.
Or as if the fans would love it more.
Yeah. And
then
do you think they think they may have over-sexualized the character a little.
You think?
A little bit.
Yeah, I think.
With slight modifications to
To the story.
and Faye's own sexuality.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, so let's just say they took a lot of liberties with Faye's character. One that I don't particularly hate. So they made her a lesbian. I don't hate that. Do you hate that? I don't hate that.
I hate the context of, we didn't want to over-sexualize the character, but let's just have her have a lesbian sex scene.
Yeah.
For no reason.
Yeah. And she's just like...
That never's, it's not like that person she sleeps with becomes a character.
No.
It's just...
I don't even know her name.
In this episode, which, by the way, obviously the female mechanic was going to be a lesbian.
Of course. Because, you can't have a strong, independent woman without, who runs her own business without her being a lesbian.
No, this is the Netflix.
But you know what? Here's the grossest thing. All right. It was a mechanic. She was in the middle of work, which means he's got oily hands. And then they hooked up, and they use the hands.
Oh, no.
So she got oily coochie.
Yeah, she probably already had oily coochie.
I mean,
have you ever seen the Bebop?
Yeah, I've seen the Bebop. By the way, Mess Man, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Yeah. The tour is going to take a pause, I think, until January, where we're going to Vegas. But then it will continue. So thanks for joining us. Anyway. So yeah,
also, that entire episode... Her entire contribution was
lesbianism, yeah.
Just being a lesbian, right?
Yes.
Like, literally, that's the entire thing she did?
That's the only thing that she did the entire episode. Wait, no. She also had the railgun, which they broke bulletproof glass with a hair clip.
A bobby pin.
That
was a strong bobby pin.
That is a massively strong bobby pin. Like, these people just don't know shit about physics or guns.
That is the most overpowered bobby pin I've ever seen in my life.
Yes, exactly. There's just so many things stupid about this show that it's almost funny. Like Faye, there's an episode. She got shot, like right here. Boom. She's not bleeding like crazy, and she goes to hang out with the guys at a diner. It makes no fucking sense. Yeah. So Spike Spiegel and Jet, they're in a diner, and they're talking about bidets. And for some reason, Jet thinks that bidets are for your feet. It's a very stupid conversation. Faye shows up out of nowhere, takes a drink of water. She's shot. Like, she's wearing like a nightgown, and she's shot, bleeding. She takes a sip of water, is like, ugh, water, give me a beer. So you're like, this is Seinfeld. Like, I'm watching Seinfeld here.
She didn't like water?
She didn't like water. She wanted beer.
What's wrong with water?
I mean, she got shot, so I'm guessing beer for the pain. But then she refused medical attention. She's going around the whole episode shot. I don't get it. And you're like, do these have these honestly, all right, here's the issue. These people have never been shot in their lives. They're like, you can totally just shake that off or whatever. You can't shake off like a bullet wound. And you know what's even crazier? No. So you know what's even crazier? She got shot here. So it's like in the almost upper pectoral, like shoulder, right shoulder. She keeps aiming her gun with her right hand. Like, this has got to be extreme. Maybe in the moment, you got the adrenaline, all that stuff. Afterwards, doing this has got to hurt like crazy, because it's a burned part of muscle, you teared skin. Like, it sucks.
First off, I will clarify this.
I've never been shot either.
You don't need to be shot to know that it sucks.
You listen, clearly you do, because here we had multiple characters that got shot and just kind of like shook it off. Like, it's not even like, hey, can you put a pad? Like,
not
something.
Even like just kind of holding, like, man, it's a little itchy.
Yeah,
something.
Like, friggin', John Cho got shot in the back, and he was still walking like up straight. Like,
yeah, he's flexing. He flexed. He flexed the bullet out of his body. No problem. What are you doing?
It's beyond stupid. And so there's a bunch of really stupid, silly little things that they add here that you're like, what the fuck are you thinking? Now, to be fair, I want to be completely fair here. There's one really good episode here. One really good. It's episode 9.
And it doesn't have Faye or Jet.
It doesn't have Faye, doesn't have Jet.
And arguably doesn't have Spike.
Yeah. And they're not trying to be Cowboy Bebop. And that's what it's a almost completely original story, because it's a flashback to Spike's youth. And so you get to see that, and Spike is not trying to be Spike. Well, John Cho's not trying to be Spike. John Cho's trying to be John Wick. And it works.
He was good at it.
Yes, because he was not trying to be Spike. And it makes sense. The only thing that's wrong there is that John Cho and the girl Julia have zero chemistry, and they met for
you made a good example. This is like maybe a tier above Jon Snow and Daenerys.
Maybe one or two steps above that.
One, but not that much.
Yeah, so you're telling me you threw away your entire life, your career, your friendship, your brotherhood over a chick you met like once and you danced once, and also it's like the least sexiest dance I've ever seen in my entire fucking life. Like
also
they're basically doing the chicken dance, and that's supposed to be like, ooh,
no rompas más.
Mi pobre corazón. And so they're like, this is the moment that they fall in love. I'm gonna go ahead and press doubt on this one.
Also, he's a terrible friend.
Yes, fucking dick. Like that episode ended, and you're like, man, Spike's the dick here,
He's
huh?
a real asshole.
Yeah, it's like I don't even believe that you did this because you were in love. I believe it because you were an asshole.
I believe because you're just horny.
You know,
like, oh, my friend's girl, you know, she cute.
Yeah, listen,
like it because of what happens in the episode and whatever. Like, Vicious is kind of an asshole, and you know, goes to kill somebody.
Yeah,
who makes him mad, and he's like, oh, take my girlfriend home, and you know, he takes her home, and you know, takes her downtown too. That couldn't have been the first time Vicious got out of hand. Like, and he decided, hey, I'm just gonna kill somebody. Like, it's not like Spike would have been like, oh man, this is the straw that broke the camel's back, man.
No, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this no more.
It's like, oh no, Vicious went too far.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm no longer in line with this guy.
Yeah, and there's an interesting story in that episode. It's like the brotherhood. Like, you owe him. Like, he saved my life. He gave me a life. But he's also kind of crazy, and I've been cleaning up after his shit. But then now he made such a big mess that now I have to take him out, but he's my brother. But I decide, you know what? I'm gonna go against my own code. I'm gonna break every single rule just to try to save my brother and all that stuff. But I'm also gonna bang his chick and try to steal it from under him. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. But it's a great episode, like I said, and it's more like a Mav episode. Honestly, it's kind of like a John Wick episode more than anything else. And that's why it
literally
works.
during there's a part where Spike has a shootout with a cartel.
Yes.
And I was thinking he's Baba Yaga.
Because it kind of looks like him in a way.
Yeah,
like,
and
for certain angles.
Right there.
And the shooting, it reminds me of the sequence of John Wick when they're in Italy, and he's just like, you know, like trying to run away after he kills the chick. I forget the name. It reminded me of that.
Didn't she kill herself?
Yes. No. Well, he puts the cherry on top.
Like, well, I mean, he had to put the bullets there,
yeah.
But you know, he waited until she died.
Yeah, she was like that, and they were like, bam. So, the show. Let's
just talk about John Wick.
All right.
Great movie.
Great movie. Fantastic. Baba Yaga. All right. So the big issue for me, it's from episode 1 was Vicious, and it's not that
in episode 1 he's not that bad because he doesn't really talk.
I just didn't like that. I had a feeling, and so I go with my guts. And so the big issue with Vicious is that they kind of made him a punk bitch, like a stupid dumb bitch. And
they Kylo Ren'd him.
Vicious is a character who you don't talk shit about, who you don't disobey, who you don't, because he might kill you for no fucking reason.
He's a guy whose name is Vicious.
Yes.
If this was a Marvel movie, that's the moment the characters laugh.
Yes.
Like like Otto Octavius, for example.
Yes, exactly.
But
and then he kills you.
His name is Vicious, and you don't laugh at it.
No, because he's supposed to be like he's supposed to be like stone-faced, crazy, and you can tell like this. You know, you ever met somebody who you're like, yeah, I don't fuck with that guy. Like just by looking at him, like that's who Vicious is supposed to be. Here,
few words.
He's more like a petty child. He's like, I'm angry and I'm gonna tell my father on you, and that's kind of how he feels. And that's a guy you kind of make fun of behind his back. With Vicious, you're like, nah, somebody listen to me. He's gonna find out somehow. You don't mess with a man named Vicious. Unfortunately, here they did. Eric has a pretty good example. It's more of a Power Rangers villain than like an actual Cowboy Bebop villain.
Dude, his facials, he's all like,
yes. He's always like showing his bad teeth, which is not a Vicious thing. I don't think I remember Vicious being mad except when he was fighting.
Yeah, like I mean, actually last night after we finished watching before I went to bed, I actually went back and rewatched episode 5 of the original Bebop,
okay,
Ballad of Fallen Angels,
which is one of the greatest episodes in anime history.
First off, I would say those 24 minutes or like that episode is the best like piece of like, let's call it a short piece of animation.
Okay.
That there is.
All right.
Like even on
music, visuals,
even on
editing.
a rewatch, this feels like I'm watching a movie.
Yes.
And no scene has fluff.
Okay.
Every piece of dialogue, everything, it just flows. Everything matters. There's no extra.
Is this the no?
Yeah.
No. Okay. Yeah.
Then the music, I mean, it's incredible.
Of
the
course.
visuals, almost all of them look like wallpapers.
Yes.
And ironic. Well, we'll get to that when we talk about the final episode. But
Right.
oh man, the final episode.
All right. So again, Vicious here, they kind of make him somebody who people feel like they can tease, who they can make fun of, who can they just talk over, ignore, like, ah, man, this guy's just a problem. He's a I wish we didn't have him because things would be better. That's not how you present a villain. They also they keep saying like, oh yeah, he's better than you. Spike was better than you. Well, Fearless was better than you. He was faster. He was strong. He was a better killer. And you're like, that's not how you introduce a fucking villain. You're supposed to portray him as somebody who's way more dangerous, like an obstacle that he actually has to beat.
And in the original Bebop, they introduced Savage as Savage. I always call him Savage
Because he's closer to Savage than Vicious.
well, no, but they introduced Vicious as basically Spike without a heart, or like without morals, you know?
Yeah.
So Spike, we always know he's a dangerous guy. He can beat up people. He's a killer,
but he's aloof.
but he's a good guy.
Yeah, at heart.
He has morals. He doesn't, that sort of stuff. He has a heart of gold.
Mm-hmm.
Vicious doesn't have that, but he has the skill sets.
Yes.
That Spike has, which makes you think, oh man, that's a dangerous fucker.
Yeah,
And that's kind of what puts Vicious a slight level above.
because he's willing to do anything just to destroy you, whereas Spike has his rules. And so it's one of those things that it's never really portrayed correctly in this show, because here Vicious is always a punk bitch. In fact, there's a moment where Spike had him dead to rights and he chooses not to kill him, so it's like, oh yeah, fuck you. Like, again, you don't do that with villains. It makes them not scary. And to me, that's the biggest.
There was also too much Vicious in the show.
Yes, there's too much Julia in this show. Like, I don't know why the hell they showed so much Julia, and they completely changed her story. So in the original anime, Julia disappears after Spike disappears, and
Okay, well, let's go into fucking spoilers. Who cares?
spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Spike is presumed dead after he has a run-in with the Syndicate after he tries to escape with Julia. Julia, I don't remember why she doesn't go with Spike. I don't know if she was afraid or
She just doesn't go. For whatever reason, I don't remember it, but she doesn't go.
yeah, and she disappears on her own, and Spike is presumed dead, and that's when 3 years later is when our story begins.
Yeah.
In this one, they made it so that Julia
Marries Vicious.
she married Vicious, and she stays with him, and she's constantly with him.
And here's the thing: if you're a man named Vicious and your best friend bangs your girl, and you marry that girl, you're a punk bitch. You're a punk bitch. I'm sorry, but you're a punk bitch. In fact, if you're not named Vicious, if you're named anything.
Also, Julia was just so begging to die.
Oh yes.
The entire show.
Yeah.
It was pissing me off.
You can't be a villain and do that. It's ridiculous, to be honest. But I would say, Chalk Dominguez, I felt that they rushed to Vicious too soon. Yes. They kind of like took the mystery away from it. And
Yeah, Vicious actually doesn't appear until episode 5.
yeah.
And guess how he's fucking introduced?
With
He
a fucking
like,
bang.
Kills like 2 capos at once.
Yeah.
And you see like the planning of his coup and stuff.
I don't. Here's the thing about villains: the less you see of them, the scarier they are. And with Vicious in the anime, you only see him being the most badass of all time, right?
Yeah.
He's the most dangerous. Here in this show, you get to see him like in normal times, and you're like, you kind of lose it. It loses a lot because again, you get to see him be kind of a punk bitch. And when we were talking,
They overexposed him.
overexposed. That's a good word. But in episode 9, you liked Vicious's interaction with Spike.
Oh yeah, they have really good chemistry.
They have really good chemistry, and
like you could feel them being like friends.
yeah. But even though that they're not really Spike or Vicious, because one is a petty child, not really like the dangerous.
Well, I kind of forgave all that because it's a flashback, so they're probably more immature, that sort of stuff.
Maybe
If Vicious had changed in the future and we saw him being like, more menacing and the actual Vicious, I would have forgiven this portrayal in the past.
because
Like, okay, he's more immature.
That's the moment that turned him.
Yeah,
He's like,
where he's like, oh no, I can't trust not even like like my own brother, you know,
Yeah.
the guy who's been with me my whole life.
But no, it made him like a bigger dumbass, apparently, in a way. And so the show is
Also, he had a weird wig. It looked terrible.
The show is riddled with just stupid things. The episodes are the issues that most of the episodes are pushed by the character's own stupidity and making dumb decisions, which I find really annoying. Eric thinks I'm too nitpicky here, but to me it's like, well, this only happened because this person's a dumbass. Like, there's an episode where freaking Spike actually puts himself in a trap voluntarily. And it's one of those things where you see it a mile away and you're like, that's a trap. But he puts himself in there voluntarily for reasons. I don't know why. And it annoys me as a storyteller.
There's an episode where Faye reads a Playboy.
Yes.
Which makes me think, they still make Playboys in the future?
I guess.
Because that was a pretty new.
Listen.
Pretty new.
Listen. I don't think they would over sexualize Faye that way.
Nah.
Talking about all that stuff.
She wouldn't talk about whether she prefers butts or boobs, right?
No, that's not for an over sex. No, you can't over sexualize a character that way.
It's disrespectful.
You know what's actually really weird? And they're like, okay, you say we don't want to over sexualize characters. There's nudity here. There's like,
yeah, like, oh, we don't want Faye showing too much skin. She's naked.
No. I mean, she's naked, yeah. But I mean, there's other. So it's like, we don't want Faye specifically, but we will over sexualize women because there's gonna be, naked chicks in there. But we won't over sexualize Faye.
And ironically, the character who in the original Bebop is a man who has tits. They changed him to.
It's like a cross-dresser.
Yeah, like I don't know what you call it, like a queer guy.
Sure. Like, I'd say cross-dresser.
Yeah. Without tits.
I know, right?
You know?
Like, listen, we're not kidding. There's literally a character in Cowboy Bebop that it's a male, like imagine like a big buff dude, kind of like a pretty boy, but who has tits because of a hormone thing.
He was in prison and given an experimental drug, increased his estrogen levels.
It's kind of alluded to him either being asexual or gay. And they did not take that character to introduce like a trans character or something.
I'm like, what's happening here?
It's like Netflix. It's trying to out Netflix. Like, I don't know what's happening. It's like, this is what they expect.
How deep can we go?
Yeah. It's like, so this would be perfect for this. Fuck you. we got this. This one is an alley-oop. This one's too easy. We're just gonna let that one go. So, because they're never gonna see it coming,
Like, at one point it would have been
but I'll give him this. That dude was actually a decent actor. So it was
fine. It just wasn't the character.
Oh no, not at all. Not at all.
At all.
Yeah, well, they introduced a whole bunch of new characters. They introduced Anna. I'm sorry, who I guess she was okay.
I liked her. She had the role of the wise old lady kind of thing who has like information.
Honestly, the big issue in the show is there's too much Julia,
and she wasn't great.
And her face is too plastic. It's like,
dude, when we saw the face up between Joncho and her face is so much bigger.
Yeah, so either Joncho's tiny or like her face is ginormous. And I kept telling her, like, dude, like her lip is fake. Like, you can tell it's too much plastic in her face. And I don't know why she needs it, because she looks like a naturally pretty girl. And until he saw that contrast, he's like, oh shit.
Well, I mean, it could be a John Cho is small, I guess. But she looks like her lips are bigger, her nose is bigger, her eyes are bigger. She has a bigger face.
Her acting is always like, I'm constipated. It makes no sense. And then there was a moment.
Vicious always looks like he's smelling a fart.
Yes. His jaw, like,
he's like, was it you?
Who farted in my presence? And then there was
a disrespect to the syndicate.
There's a moment that broke Eric. Like, there's a moment where Eric out loud said, I'm glad they canceled this fucking show. I'm glad this show got canceled. You can tell the scene. You can break down the scene. Why'd you feel that way?
It was the final episode. First off,
final episode is the worst episode by far.
Oh yeah,
and it was arguably the easiest to make.
Okay, so to give a little context, if you watch the original Cowboy Bebop, it actually doesn't really start to get going until episode 5, Ballad of Fallen Angels.
Because before, every other episode is just like Adventure of the Week.
Yeah, it's I think Faye gets introduced in like episode 3. Ed doesn't appear until like episode 10.
Also, a big mistake. Faye appearing in the first episode makes no fucking sense.
I get why they did it, introduce her early, and then,
But it was stupid.
Have her be in the people's minds, whatever.
because she kind of fucked up that episode's story, but whatever.
But I mean, I will give them this. They were consistent with the fact that they almost always fail.
Oh, yes. Yes.
That is always a part of they are always broke. Somehow they fail. It's part of the charm.
Yeah, it's funny.
So Bebop doesn't really get going until episode 5, which is where they introduce Vicious and they give hints to Spike's backstory, and then they start developing on it throughout the series.
Yeah, because at first they don't really want you to think too much about Spike's backstory. You're just like, oh, he's just a highly capable dude.
He's an aloof guy. Like, obviously he has skills.
And I think that the design there was on purpose. It's like, you're like, okay, I have this vision. And then they're like, oh my God.
Yeah, they flip it.
So you're Jet in that situation. You're like, oh, I think he's this guy because he's got the heart of gold. And like, oh shit, he's actually, wait, what? So I think that's what they wanted to do with the audience. Also, Chuck, let's see. I hate that, in fact, that they concentrated so much on Spike and Vicious instead of each episode focusing on the... Yeah, too much Vicious on the show, which is a weird thing to say. Too much Vicious, too much Julia. There was moments where it was like, okay, cool. But when you... All right, the big scene with Vicious is the big killing scene of the Elders, right?
The Tears of Scarlet.
Yeah, we watched that episode and we're like, okay... That was fine. I mean, it was stupid that they don't have any guns in there, but okay. I mean, if you're
I did not say that was fine.
Yeah.
Fucker was stabbed in the back by a halberd.
And then he pulled it out while nobody else attacked him. So it was...
Also, nobody had a fucking gun.
Yeah, it was stupid. It was stupidly handled. It was like a quick misdirection thing that was like, that could be fine, and then it was stupid. And here's the thing. That we saw it immediately afterwards. We saw the Tears of Scarlet episode, and we're like, this is a million times better than what we got. It wasn't Vicious being like, yeah. It was Vicious like being like calm.
And I mean, of course, there's like a misdirection there because it wasn't actually Vicious who was, tied up.
No, but I mean, afterwards he's like, and he's giving his speech like, oh no, father, blah blah blah. But here, Vicious like calm. Then a bird pops in because you guys remember Vicious has birds in the anime.
He controls birds. This fucker.
I think it's a robot bird. Right. Comes in. Throws a bunch of smoke grenades. There's a dude. He's got people in there, so they break him out with like from the shackles and stuff.
They have guns.
And then a whole fight ensues, and he just drops like a killer line right before he kills one of the elders. He's like, blade right in his eyes, and you will shed tears of scarlet.
So which is an edgy as fuck line. But it works when your character's named Vicious, and he did what he just did.
And you're about to cut somebody's head with a katana right at eye level.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things like, that is so fucking cool. And what you got from Netflix is just a bunch of really bad choreography, and people don't understand that when you get stabbed by halberd, you can't really keep fighting. It's and them not having guns. Why wouldn't they have guns?
Also, his entire plan was, I will take out the entirety of these guys if you give me my katana.
Yeah.
Because he assumed none of them were gonna have guns. That was his entire plan there. Vicious in the anime, he had guys on the inside. Like, you literally see like the guards were gonna shoot him. A couple of them turn around and shoot the other guys. It was a plan.
Yeah, it was a plan that did not require everybody else being a dumbass. So but I did like that Denethor was in there.
Stop making Denethor. Denethor's not a thing. Tolkien's gonna sue you.
Sorry, Denethor.
All you have.
Like sing, Master Hobbit. It would have been awesome if they had a midget singing there. That would have been hysterical.
Okay, so Denethor, yeah, whatever. We're spoiling everything.
Yeah, fuck it.
The episode he's introduced, he's killed, and he actually doesn't have that many lines, which were like...
Well, no. The episode where he is revealed. Because he does appear before.
Well, I guess, yeah. When Vicious kills the elders, you see him take off the mask and, oh my god, it's Denethor.
Yeah.
Or whatever the actor's name is.
I think Bishop something. Or that might be his character in Fringe.
He's the professor in Fringe.
Yeah.
And Denethor in Lord of the Rings.
So for those of you who don't remember who Denethor is, he's the steward of Minas Tirith, the father of Boromir and Faramir.
The guy who eats tomatoes really uncomfortably.
Yeah, he's like, he makes you not want to eat tomatoes. Yeah, and he's like all bloody and shit.
He's making Pippin sing for him.
And for some reason, he hates Faramir and wants to set him on fire.
It is pretty funny. He doesn't even want to check if he's dead.
No, he's dead. Just let him be. He will burn with me. So, by the way, horrible way to kill yourself.
Yeah. but we were like, so they got that actor for just that one scene?
I know,
and
like,
that's it?
That's a big name actor.
But they do use him again in the flashback episode.
And he is fucking hysterical
He's
without
just beating the shit out of Vicious.
Well, no, it's a misdirection. Like, Vicious, you did this. That's fantastic. The first time I've ever proud of you. Like, oh, thank you. Shut the fuck up, you
little
dumb
shit.
punk bitch.
I know it was.
And you see, that's funny. And they're not trying to be funny. It's just like, this is so fucking mean. It's hysterical, which works because it's not trying to be a comedy first. It's actually trying to be like a serious mob thing going on. But anyway, then so what's the moment that broke you, or you want me to say it?
Well, okay, so I was always giving the show kind of like the benefit of the doubt, and like, oh man,
Listen,
I literally said like the entire show, I don't feel anything watching the show,
which is bad. Like, honestly, we could have stopped at any point, and it's like,
I was like, I could, if you keep watching the show, I could just sit and watching it in order to spoil the shit.
Yeah, you can't spoil the show. In order to spoil the show, it had to be good.
Oh yeah,
true. That is true.
It was already
You can't
spoiled.
spoil something that's already rotten.
Yeah, but what was I? Oh yeah, I was like, if you're watching it, I'll just keep watching it. If you stop right now and never turn on again, I won't care.
Here's the thing, and
If it's mid episode, in the middle of like something dramatic, I wouldn't care.
And here's the thing, I was complaining the whole time. But then
then
Eric said, like, you know what? When you complain about every single little thing, like, it kind of takes it away from you. And it's like, all right, fine. I'm going to shut the fuck up.
Well,
I'm going to shut the fuck up.
No, my thing is, if you complain about literally everything,
every little thing.
Yeah, then it's like,
it becomes womp, 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 womp.
It's just white noise at that point. It's like, all right, you're just a complainer.
Yeah. And so I shut the fuck up from that point on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we were still snarky as fuck.
Oh, of course. But I stopped complaining nitpicky. I was like, all right, fine. I'll ride this wave.
Yeah.
Eric, continue.
And there was stuff to be nitpicky about.
Sure.
But it's like, whatever. And the thing that sucks most, episode 9 was pretty good.
Yeah,
the one right before the ending.
The one before episode 9 had great. There's good moments in the show, like the fight where Jet is on the phone and Spike is on the background fighting against 4 dudes.
When Jet is like in his daughter's recital, like in a hologram, and you see Spike in the background. Yes.
There's good. Like, there's a moment, and I think I have the image of it here. Like, no, that's the worst part. No, there's a bit that's actually pretty funny where Faye steals Spike's ship, and so Spike can't stop aiming a gun at her. Like, that's funny stuff. It has.
Can I kill her?
Yeah, it has.
I really want to kill her.
Yeah, it has.
Can I kill her a little bit?
Yeah, so it has good moments.
It's because he's channeling the audience.
Of course. Yeah.
Can we kill her? Please, a little.
Her and her semen hands, tree semen hands.
Anyway. Oh yeah, that was gross.
Yeah, continue.
And so final episode happens, and you're heading towards this big confrontation. Basically, they were gonna make Ballad of Fallen Angels, which was where Bebop gets going in the original. They wanted to make that the climax of the season, and I thought, honestly, that's not a bad idea. Because you see that episode and you think like that's a great cliffhanger. Stop it. What was I saying?
Yeah, you were saying that they end up episode 9, which is actually pretty good, and then you go into the episode 9 and you expect it to be a cliffhanger because of Ballad of Fallen Angels.
Yeah, and honestly, what pissed me off the most...
Actually, there's a big mistake in episode 9. Well, not mistake. Well, other than the love relationship. When Spike gets shot and falls in the water, he doesn't fall in the water. He rolls to the water.
he like falls and he
rolls down
falls on like grass, and he rolls and he falls into a river. And I'm like, this is way less dramatic.
Yeah. you're seeing it and you're like, what the fuck?
The guy's ragdolling. And I'm like, this is supposed to be like a serious, like, oh man, moment of betrayal,
like,
life changing.
He's like almost shot in slow motion. He's like, broom, broom, rolling.
I'm like, I get why they may have not wanted to do it, but it's like, just
no, you know why they did it, right? Because they were going to do it again the next episode. Like, well, we got to do something different. And so, like, let's just roll him downhill. Anyway, continue.
And that was... hated that.
Yeah.
It was just weird. It took away the gravity of it. It's like, oh man, because you see that moment.
All that shit.
You can imagine the scene where like the guy's getting shot and he's like, and
he's still trying to shoot back.
Yeah, he's still trying to fight back. It's like, oh man, so valiant, and then he falls, and it's like, oh man, his fall
from grace.
And his fall from grace is really tumbly. Like, ow, fuck. Oh my god, ow, my back. Jeez, And then he falls on the wall.
This is really painful. This really hurts.
It's like a Family Guy skit.
Anyway.
So, episode 10, they had the perfect out. They could have just made a shot-for-shot recreation of episode 5 from the anime.
Nobody would have hated it. Again, so this show, a live-action adaptation of an anime is not for the anime fans. It's for the normies. And so if you just made a normal like shot-for-shot, it would have been, because they would have been like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen, because I'm seeing it for the first time.
And us who are the anime fans, we would have been like,
all right, that was.
I mean, that was cool.
That was not as cool as the original one, but it's okay.
Cool. It's cool seeing this brought to life.
Yeah. Now they did add one thing that I thought was interesting, and that's they upped the stakes a little bit in that episode, and they basically Vicious kidnaps Jet's daughter, and so they upped the stakes there.
Yeah, and to be fair, in the original, Jet is basically not involved at all.
Yeah, not at all. This is all Spike territory, which kind of again should have just been Spike
and Faye.
Yeah, it should have just really been that, but here, okay.
Because it was literally like Spike and Jet are talking in the Bebop, and Jet's like, "What the fuck? Where are you going for this guy? He's like part of the syndicate and stuff. Like, what's going on?" And like Spike's rationale is like, "This is my past catching up to me. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not gonna involve you. Like, this is something that I must do."
Yeah.
Faye gets involved because she's Faye, and she sees like, oh, this guy has like a high bounty. What's going on? Like, oh, okay. Oh, he's gonna be at this opera house thing. Okay, I'm gonna go there. And through shenanigans, she gets caught and she gets strapped by Vicious, because Vicious had already killed the guy who she was gonna go after.
Yes.
And so I've seen people complain of like, oh, of course they put like a damsel in distress kind of scenario, because Faye kind of calls them and she's like, yeah, so these guys are gonna kill me if you don't come, Spike. So like, could you like please? And I've seen people complain in that regard, but honestly, if you pay attention, if Faye was not there in the anime, Spike would have died.
Okay. So
Spike shows up and he saves Faye by. He goes full cold-blooded. He just straight up shoots the guy in the head who's holding her hostage. He's like, hey, you're gonna do what we say, and Spike like, fuck you.
Which is kind of what you do in a hostage situation.
No, because at that point he was not Spike. He was fearless.
Okay.
He goes full on like, now, like the beast is back, you know?
Yeah. Like, this is who you wanted. This is who you get.
Meanwhile, Faye's like, what the fuck's going on? So she tries to escape.
Yeah.
And that's when she goes and, well, at the end of the episode, she's the one who gets him back to the Bebop and saves him.
Yes.
So if she wasn't there, Spike would have died. Mm-hmm. And you see this massive shootout in the church. Vicious looks way cooler.
Yeah.
They try to recreate some of the dialogue in the show, and it doesn't work the same way.
It doesn't sound the same when it comes from a petty child.
Also, I mean, Vicious is like shrouded in mystery and shadows and all that.
He's a dangerous man.
And guess what? Spike gets shot, and he like tumbles back, and he feels, and he's like, "Ow! Getting shot hurts."
Yeah,
and this is the cartoon version.
Yes,
the one I'm talking about. He gets shot, and he's like, "Ow! Fuck! All right." He gets up to the top of the church, and he has a little fight with Vicious. Vicious comes out.
Beautiful shot.
Yeah. They're like, he's doing like the gun thing, but it's up close, so he's got the sword, he's got like an advantage there. And guess what Vicious does there? Do you remember the conclusion of that?
Stabs him.
Well, I mean, they do have the scene where
they're aiming and sword.
Yeah. So Vicious stabs him, and at the same time, Spike shoots him in like the shoulder. They both tumble.
Yeah. And
Vicious is like, ow, that hurt. So he holds him by the head, and he throws him out the damn window. Yeah. He's like, at that moment, you do see Vicious being a little bit more like you pissed me off. He did get shot.
Yes. But he did not grab him with the shot arm. He grabbed him with the other arm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like,
yeah.
fuck off. And
You made me so fucking mad.
I'm gonna choke slam you out of this fucking church. Fair enough. And you know what?
No.
Spike doesn't come off like being a bitch, because you know what he does? He leaves a grenade up there. He's like, hey, fuck you, I'm taking you out too.
Yeah, this is like a battle of equals. You
Yeah.
know? And it's you know what? That's good.
Now, obviously, neither of them die at that moment. Like, Spike survives his fall, and Vicious doesn't get killed by the grenade.
But it leaves you in the situation where you're like, okay, Spike and Vicious, they're par on par. This is not an easy fight either one way or another.
This is not an easy fight. Plus,
Vicious has the Syndicate.
Vicious has the Syndicate on his side, and also he has that thing where he's vicious. You know, he's not.
He can Hulk out.
He's cold-hearted.
Exactly. So again, neither of them look like punk bitches ever in the show.
It was a perfect setup to what you're like, oh my god, I want to see this conclusion at the end. Like, I want to see this. You don't think Spike loses or Vicious loses here?
It's a draw.
Neither of them lose face.
It's a draw.
But it is enough to establish that Spike sort of loses because he's the one who falls off the tower. Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
You know, visually speaking, it's like his fall from grace. You could say fallen angel.
No. I'm just gonna keep doing that. And I don't care if you don't like it.
Well, what annoys me is that it has lyrics.
I don't know them. You didn't even say the lyrics.
I don't know the lyrics.
Oh, you're a motherfucker. You don't even know the lyrics and you're complaining that I'm not doing the lyrics?
Yeah, but I wanted to annoy you.
Yeah, fair enough. That's fair.
They sort of come off as equals there with a little bit of a...
It's almost like they're setting up a bigger fight later on.
It's one of those things where it's like they want you to want this fight, yet they want you to be afraid for Spike. Which, considering the conclusion of the anime, very well justified.
Yeah, very well justified, definitely.
What do they do in the show?
Well, let's see. Spike and Jet are tied up, and they're beat to shit. Like, they've been tortured, apparently. For some reason, Vicious found Jet's daughter, and he kidnapped her, and that's how they got him there. And then Faye, who had said, fuck you guys, I'm out, came back and shot him to hell with her ship. Which, why don't they just use ships the whole time to shoot him?
That's what I've always wondered, yeah.
Yeah, and so she...
Also, she said, welcome to the ouch, motherfuckers?
Yeah! Welcome to the ouch, motherfuckers! Which is, like, honestly, the lamest thing you could say before you shoot people. Like, what would be what's the lamest line you've ever heard in your life before somebody does something that's kind of cool?
Welcome to the ouch, motherfuckers?
What would you have said?
Ouch.
Like, you're the writer. What would you have said in that situations?
I'm trying to think of something lamer.
Something lamer. You would have said something lamer.
No. Like, well, that's what you asked, right? Or
Yeah.
Like, what you would have said there? I don't know. Do you need to say anything?
Even just like a suck it, bitches.
Like, lights out, motherfuckers. I don't know.
Welcome to the ouch.
How about, I don't know, see you...
Hasta la vista.
No. Okay, they're in a church. See you in hell, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Sure.
So welcome to the ouch.
She literally shot up a church.
Yeah.
Like, you have to go do something with that, right?
Yeah, with a couple, it's railguns on a ship. And so basically Faye kills everybody. She releases Spike and, well, she doesn't kill Vicious or his two capos, I guess. And she releases Spike and Jet has his leg injured, so he can't carry his daughter. And for some reason, the girl can walk. But Spike decides, I'm going to carry this little girl. She can walk, but he's going to carry the little girl. And as they're walking out, some guy...
He's going to carry that weight. It's symbolism, man.
Yeah, and so some dude's still alive, and he shoots at Spike. And so Spike turns, takes the bullet, and then he gets killed off by Jet or whatever, the other guy. And so I was like, Eric, you know, the only reason they did that is because they wanted Spike to take a bullet for the little girl. That's literally the only reason. Because if the little girl was walking down here, then he would have shot up here, and so Jet just would have ducked. But no, they wanted Jet to actually... they wanted Spike to actually take the bullet. So again, it's kind of forced. And the issue here is that Spike got shot in the back, and he basically doesn't react. Nobody reacts to it. He's just like, he just keeps walking and like, oh yeah, it's a shot in the back. Normal stuff. Happens all the time. And so they Jet, Faye, and the little girl get out of there, and Spike decides to come back to the fucking church. And all right, I'm gonna finish off this whole thing with Vicious, right? And from that, well, you didn't even say the thing that made you want to quit.
Well, it's because you have to explain the episode.
All right, fine. Then actually, this is even before that. So why don't you just say it? Or you want me to explain it?
Okay, so they decided to make Julia more of a character during the entire series, and they kind of were always establishing this thing where she kind of wanted to wrestle power away from Vicious.
Yeah, they try to explain like she wants to be safe and free of Vicious, but they're trying to make it like she wants to run away, but in actuality she's like wants to wrestle power. Like that's how they're playing that. Even though she does offer to give up the whole throne.
Yeah, which, by the way, we have no idea how this syndicate works.
We don't know.
Apparently, you can just be a regular nobody, and as long as you kill the
right
main
people.
guy, it's like, oh, I guess we follow this person now.
Yeah, it's really weird.
In the anime, it makes sense because it's Vicious. He was already in the syndicate,
And he did a coup.
He already had people following him.
He had a plan.
Yeah, it's like,
And also he's vicious, and you're like, I'm not going up against that guy. He's vicious.
well, I mean, he was already a capo. He was already like a few steps below elders. He just killed the elders, and he's like, we're gonna take over. He already had his followers, his team,
Yeah.
people loyal to him.
Yeah. And so Eric's taking too long, so I'm just going to explain it. So there's in episode 9, Julia, when she's about to go off to meet up with Spike, she gets stopped by one of Vicious's soldiers. She's a girl. They don't even say her name, but like a female employee of Vicious decides to like stop. We're going to Vicious' house, and that's why she doesn't meet up with Spike, right? The next episode, Vicious is like, you tried to kill me, you dumb bitch. You fucked my best friend. But he's telling Julia, and Julia basically wants to die, or it looks like she wants to die because what's the line that she gives Vicious? That's like, oh, why she just wants to die.
Why would you stay with a woman who fucked your best friend?
Yeah, I thought you didn't know, but now it's like you're pathetic. And so we're like, oh, she wants to die. And the guard was there too. So she heard this conversation.
I just needed to show this. This is how Spike looks after the
Ballad of Fallen Angels.
Ballad of Fallen Angels.
Nope. There you go.
He's in a full fucking body cast and in a coma for 3 days.
Yeah.
Like he just, got shot a bunch, stabbed, and fell off a fucking tower.
Yeah. Here the dude got shot in the back and kept walking like it's nothing. Anyway.
Here he got shot, like, from the back, from the front. So he technically got shot more times than the actual Spike.
Yeah.
He got stabbed. He fell off a tower. He didn't get rescued, by the way. Like,
Swam out of there.
In the anime, he got rescued by Faye.
Here he swims.
And here he just swims and he goes to a bar.
Fucking Michael Phelps, man.
And he sees the true horror.
We'll get to the true horror.
The true horror.
The horror. Anyway, so there's a scene where Julia is in the car with the guard and they're on their way to the church. And Julia tells the guard, like, hey, you know that you're the only one who knows the real reason why Vicious wants to kill Fearless, right? So he's gonna kill you after he kills me. And this chick is like, did you ever really love Vicious? And she's like, well, I thought I did until I met Fearless. And she's like, well, then you should be with him. And she just takes out a Garrote, and the guard takes out a Garrote, and she's taking out the driver, which is a very, very unsafe. And they shoot the other guy, and it's in this moment where it's like,
I'm glad the show got fucking canceled.
And it came from his heart
for no fucking reason.
The car starts flipping around, exploding, and it came from his heart. Like, you know what? I'm glad the show got canceled.
Okay,
explain your reasoning.
I figured what was gonna happen is they were gonna switch Faye for Julia, and they, because Spike was gonna go save somebody.
Yeah.
And then they was okay, so they're gonna do the daughter instead to get Jet involved. Fair enough. Instead, they have him, captured in this like James Bond, situation where it's like, what are you gonna do, Mr. Bond? Well, we have you dead to rights. And the whole time, there's no drama there because it's like, guys, we know Faye is out there. They're trying to do this whole thing where it's like, oh no, they're gonna kill Jet and his daughter, and everything's like, Spike can't do anything. It's like, guys,
Faye's out there.
We know there's a third main character.
There's also a dog
who has like holograms and shit from his eyes.
Yeah, it's a computer dog.
He's haggle. He has Wi-Fi capabilities.
It's his tail. That's his antenna. It's how he walks around trying to find good signal.
God, the show fucking sucks.
If it overheats, it starts panning. It's like...
You know, when he pees somewhere, hotspot.
Hotspot.
But yeah, it was like, there's no drama there. We know Faye is gonna show up. Like why would you even insult the audience at that level at that point?
Yes.
And I figured, okay, so they're gonna switch Julia, but then they didn't, and I'm like, so what the fuck are they gonna do with Julia? Apparently she's gonna do, first off, she did the worst charisma role I've ever seen with Vicious.
Yes.
Like, from a D&D perspective. She's like, look, this guy just walked in holding a human head and threw it in a fire. And it's covered in blood.
Not just any human head. The head of a capo who you were in cahoots with to kill him. So it's like a kind of an intimidating way to show up somewhere.
Yeah, and covered in blood, talking about how he just became the leader of the entire syndicate and how he knows that you...
And he broke a glass of whiskey on your fucking head. Like, he had a glass of whiskey and boom, just smashed the hell out of you.
And her response to all of this is to say, what kind of a man stays with a woman who fucks his best friend? That's a natural one, baby.
Yeah.
And that was a one roll.
And she survives. Like, she should be dead.
The entire rationale for Vicious there is like, oh no, I'm gonna wait until I have Spike's head
to torture you more, which is stupid.
It's like, can you just whatever?
Which is, again, it's not a Vicious thing. Vicious is not like, oh, I'm gonna torture. It's like, I'm just gonna kill you because I'm vicious. You know, I'm just like, ah, fuck you, you're dead. Problem solved.
Well, first off, he wouldn't have stayed with a woman who fucked his best friend. First off.
Well, yeah.
And second off, he's like, okay, so now we need Julia to come to the church so that she can see Spike die or something. So they're taking her there, and she, for some reason, within the span of 4 sentences, manages to convince this random ass guard to be like, oh, well, I thought I was...
No name. She doesn't have a name, that guard.
I thought I was in love with Vicious, but turns out I love Fearless, aka Spike.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, then you should be with him. And she just decides to kill her two teammates.
I'm assuming they're friends.
I would assume at least they've known each other for a few years.
Yes, and it's one of those things like, man, are you that not afraid of Vicious? Like you should be at least a little bit afraid of your boss, right? Because why would if he's like a psycho killer and you just betrayed him?
They kind of established the syndicate being this scary thing you don't want to mess with,
and everybody messes with them.
Oh yeah,
it's really weird. But anyway, so she does that, and honestly, from Eric's heart, I'm glad the show got fucking canceled.
Yeah, because honestly, I could even see what was coming at that point.
Yeah, everybody could see it.
Which was, you explain it.
All right, so this whole ends up with, again, Spike went back into the church. He has to fight with Vicious. They do the whole gun versus sword thing, and it ends up with...
Which is way less impactful when you see it in every opening.
Yeah. And it ends up being Vicious beating Spike. And so Vicious has the gun. He's got Spike dead to rights. And all of a sudden, boom, he gets shot. Gets shot out of nowhere. And it's like, oh, it turns out it's Julia. And me and Eric were like, double tap, bitch. You gotta double tap the guy.
No, we're like...
Because he got shot like here. Spike, and what we know is when you get shot here, it doesn't hurt.
Yeah, and Spike and Julia start talking. And they're like, oh my God, I thought you were dead, yada, yada, and stuff. And
they're turning their back on Vicious.
Yeah, the whole time we're like, guys,
the other guy's there.
It's Vicious. He's right there. Guys,
just
at least don't give him your back, right?
Yeah,
just something. I know he's a punk bitch,
but still.
But at this point, he was completely neutered.
Yeah.
And this show had
a cornered fox is more dangerous than a jackal.
This show had an odd fixation with neutering.
Yeah. Yeah. Why?
I don't know. We see a man eat testicles.
He's nicknamed the eunuch because he eats testicles.
He eats a testicle. That was a big testicle too.
Probably a goat.
You think?
What other animal are you gonna eat? Like a bull? That'd be like huge.
Well, that's a full snack, yeah.
That's a full meal.
That is the main course.
Anyway, And so Julia basically is like, all right, now that he's dead and everybody else is dead, you can be the leader of this group. And Spike's like, bitch, did you not pay attention to me? I kind of want, like, I wanted to leave this life. Like, I think it was pretty clear. Like, I want to leave. And Julia's, you're a punk bitch. Shoots him. No.
Okay, so her argument is her argument is, you left me with Vicious.
Yeah.
And you never came to try and save me.
Yes. Which is a fair argument.
Well, I mean...
And Spike was like, well, he said that you chose him and you never showed up. Like, and you believed him? Like that. Listen, that's a fair question.
Look, in the anime, Spike thinks Julia's dead.
Yes.
And Julia thinks Spike is dead.
Yes.
And Vicious thinks both are dead.
Yes.
So there's a good reason why you wouldn't look for people.
Exactly. It makes sense.
Reasonable.
It's
you
almost,
think someone's dead.
It's almost like it's well written.
Yeah. It's like, I think you're dead. I didn't look for you. I thought you were dead. Well,
fair enough.
You know what? If you think I'm dead, I wouldn't expect for you to look for me.
Yeah, there was a tomb and everything. Like, all right.
Yeah.
I took flowers.
Yeah. Many flowers. You owe me flowers. You weren't dead.
Yeah.
And here it's like, okay, so Julia and Spike arranged to like meet at a place to run away from Vicious.
Mm-hmm. And Julia doesn't show up. And Vicious
Julia doesn't show up, and Vicious and his capos show up, or not capos. Capo is the position that he
like
is.
his henchmen, his lieutenants.
Yeah, his headman. And you know so what is Spike to think there? You know, he's like, okay, well, I told you I was gonna betray Vicious and run away with you. You didn't show up. Vicious showed up. I figured you may have probably betrayed me.
Yeah, which is fair, because otherwise, how else would he know?
Yeah.
And honestly, it's kind of like
they had one fucking conversation.
Yes, one.
They had one fucking conversation. It's not like we could be like, oh no, I mean, they've known each other for years, and he knew Julia would never betray him. It's like, they talked once and fucked once.
And they danced once. And the time they had the least chemistry was the fucking. It's a really bad dance scene.
I still think that's where he broke his leg.
So
he
yeah,
was like, it was too much plastic.
It was too much. I couldn't handle it. I don't know why I became Hispanic right now, but it is happening. It's too much plastic.
It's so much plastic. Break my leg.
So yeah, it made sense from Spike's perspective. Like, oh well, you choose him, and then you married him, so.
I was like, well, what am I to think?
And from Julia's perspective, like, well, I thought you were dead, so.
Yeah, so she's like mad at him for that reason, but she's all like, oh, but now we can rule the syndicate together. And then Spike is like,
but I don't wanna.
And also,
like,
how are you even gonna rule the syndicate? Like, how does that work?
Yeah,
like,
and I'm pretty, like, Spike was super clear. I want to get out of this life. I don't want to do this anymore, even though I kind of already killed a whole bunch of people today. And in, you know, the time coming up to here, but I don't want to kill people anymore, blah, blah, blah.
Well, I mean, I think his point is he doesn't want to live like the henchman, hitman life, you know, mafia thing.
Yeah.
He still wants to be like
a cowboy. But
I think that's because he values his, you know, freedom to do whatever he wants more.
Yeah.
Because that's within his character.
Well, it's I think it's more like if I kill somebody, it's because it was my choice. I'm not going to be sent to murder somebody or stuff like that for stupid, you know, rules for the syndicate or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
I do want to answer this quick because Chuck asks, what do you think about the actors? Do you think if the show didn't suck, they would have been the perfect fit for the characters? I'm gonna go the thumbs thing. Jet,
good.
thumbs up. Spike, thumbs in the middle.
No.
He was fine.
No.
Thumbs in the middle.
No.
Faye, thumbs down.
No.
Vicious, thumbs down. Julia, it's hard to say because Julia was never a character in the show. That was actually kind of the point. She was more like, she symbolized
like an entity.
Yeah, she symbolized Spike's.
And again, it's a surprise that she's alive. I remember the show was like, this bitch is alive. I thought she was dead.
Yeah.
Which is, again, the characters are going through what the audience is going through.
Yeah, she's more of a symbol for Spike rather than her own character. So, I don't know. Thumbs down, because, well, that's more of the writing, I guess,
she always looked like she was constipated.
I mean, maybe she was.
Maybe. Too much plastic in her face. Like, her face really annoyed me, like...
The Corgi was fantastic.
Corgi was fantastic. He's a great actor.
Corgi and Jet, thumbs up.
Yeah.
Like Spike, I said, Thumbs in the middle. It's a really fucking hard character to do.
That's why I'm saying it was miscast.
But it was... I think he did as good as any other actor would have done.
No. John Cho? I think first off, he's too old. Like, look at him. He's too old. Look at Julia.
I did think they missed out on an opportunity on making Spike's backstory take place way more in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Because at least that would have made more sense. And first off, making Julia more of a character who's been around the syndicate and the mafia for much longer.
Yeah.
So maybe she's been corrupted that way.
Yeah, also...
And two, it explains Spike's age. Because Spike's character could be older. Like, it works.
It's in his 30s. Late 20s, 30s.
He's late 20s in the anime.
Yeah, so...
But he could have... if
to me, it was...
If Spike's character is 40, that still works within the story.
I don't know. To me, he was just too old, John Cho, and he wasn't cool enough. So, I would not have... If I got the opportunity to recast this, I would not have hired John Cho, ever.
Yeah, but in terms of how he did, that was in the middle.
Okay, so it's a good actor, just a bad character for him. It's like like if
it was a miscast.
It's
sure.
like if you got cast to play Juliet.
What are you implying? Think I wouldn't kill it?
You would not.
I'd sing my heart out.
You'd sing your heart out.
Yeah.
Juliet doesn't sing.
Romeo,
where art thou, Romeo? Yeah, you would kill it. That would be pretty good. That would be pretty good.
Don't tell me you wouldn't watch it.
All right. So also another issue that just hit me: Faye and Spike, no chemistry. In the show, it's kind of like, do they kind of have something or not? Do they kind of have it or not?
Oh, yes. Who would you cast for Spike?
You see, off the top of my head, I was going with like maybe James Franco or something, but James Franco is too old too. So it would have to be kind of like a young actor or the younger actor.
But you could make an older version of Spike.
I guess you can. So to me, it's like, who has that kind of like aloof, cool guy quality? I think like the person who popped into my head immediately was James Franco, because he does have that aloofness. Maybe even cause I want to say part of me is like, all right, maybe for the younger guys, for the young bucks, maybe like a Timothy Chalamet or whatever. Did you see Dune?
Yeah,
but he doesn't have the cool factor in him.
No, he looks like a nerd.
He's kind of like he's more like a Shakespearean actor.
He looks like oh, you mean the main character, like Paul?
Yeah.
He reminds me of like the Stranger Things kid.
Kind of. Yeah, now that you say it. So I don't know, like off the top of my head, I thought James Franco, so I'm gonna stick with James Franco because just he has that natural cool factor about him. But I'm still not in love with that pick either. It's a hard character to cast. I mean, very hard.
He's also he always kind of has like this Bruce Lee thing going on. Spike.
Actually, Bruce Lee would have been pretty good.
Yeah, Bruce Lee. Let's go with Bruce Lee. Yeah.
He's dead though.
Well, arguably so. Spike.
CGI. So also, there's no chemistry between these two. Like, there's no chemistry between Faye or. There's kind of like an implied chemistry there. Here, there's one episode where they actually interact. It's when they play rock paper scissors, and actually, when I was listening back to that, Brandon Lee's also dead. When I was thinking back on, there's an episode where they basically play rock paper scissors, right? But Faye is like, no, hunter, bear, ninja. And I'm like, that's an Ed line. That's an Ed line. That's not a Faye thing. So if Ed would have done that, you'd been like, oh yeah, Ed. But from Faye, it's really weird.
Oh, Faye Valentine is not in this show.
Oh no, not at all.
Like the John, just remove that from your mind. She's not there. It's not the character.
Something else. And now that I mentioned her, let's talk about good old the big surprise at the end of the season.
Don't do it. Ah,
Ed.
Jesus Christ.
Ed. What can you say about Ed?
The episode, she's like there for 30 seconds. It was the longest 30 seconds of the show.
It's the worst 30 seconds of my life. Spike Spiegel! Again, you need to remember this. Spike got shot twice. He fell through broken glass. Like he went through a window, fell off a cliff, hit water, had to swim at least, I don't know, like a mile or something, and then went to a bar, got shit-faced, collapses on the ground. Like, this is all very dark, serious stuff. And all of a sudden, this pops up in his face. Spike! Spike Spiegel! I have an adventure for ya! I'm Radical Ed! And you're just like... like, it's horrifying. It's one of the most horrifying things I've seen in my life.
Get that off my screen.
It's like you just went through something very serious. Listen, there's a reason why Ed does not show up on any Vicious episodes. And it's because those are darker, serious episodes. And Ed's kind of like goofy, cartoony. And also, they left the costume that she had in the anime. That's really weird. That's really weird to have like a little girl wear that.
Not for Netflix.
Of course, but Netflix, they're into pedo shit. So, I don't know what they were thinking. But if I was like, man, maybe they could give this show a shot. After that, it's like, no, just kill it. Just kill it with fire. Burn it. Destroy it. It's too much. It's in a very odd moment. So you were just like...
Joseph Gordon-Levitt?
Joseph Gordon-Levitt,
You're gonna say too old, but...
Yes, too old.
But he does have that aloof thing going on.
Yeah, like... Yeah, Joseph Gordon-Levitt would not be terrible.
Yeah.
And I think he's a better actor than Franco.
Probably.
Probably younger, too. Sure, why not?
I'd go with that.
Yeah, why not? Joseph Gordon-Levitt. You know what? Christian Bale. He's definitely too old. No, it can't be Christian Bale.
Marlon Brando.
You know what who'd be cool? The problem is that he talks too much and he's too old. Matthew McConaughey.
Man, you really hate old people.
He'd be like, Julia, all right. We're gonna go and take down the syndicate, all right. We're gonna get out
We're
there.
gonna bone.
I'm gonna bring out my gun. I'm gonna shoot people, and then you're gonna be like, hey, that was sexy, man. Because I don't like it when Vicious kills people. That's scary. But when you do it, Fearless, oh, all right. That's how he's gonna do it. That's how he's gonna do it, man. That's how it's gonna work out.
Why are her hands wet and clammy? Listen, I hate it. Everything about this image.
I don't know. But I like keeping it there because I know what it knows.
Get it out. Oh, the color of the hair.
So overall,
I figured they were gonna pick a ginger because it's like, no. Honestly, I always pictured Ed being more.
Listen, that'd be too easy, bro. This is Netflix. We got a perfect opportunity to put in a transsexual character in there, but we're like, no, we're gonna go with the cross-dresser because this is what we do. We break barriers, man. We get into the like the headspace of everybody else. And like, this is what we expect from Netflix, and then it's like, we're gonna do the exact opposite because we don't take all the easy shots. We don't go for like the field goal when we're like in range. We go for it. We go for it on fourth down. That's what we do. It's all right.
First off, that hurt me.
It's almost like it was intended to, man.
Only one fucking field goal. That's all you need. Two, if you were gonna paint her hair anyways, then she could have been like a little Brazilian girl, or like, that's what I always pictured her as.
Yeah, she's really tan. Like Ed's really tan. Like, look at her. She's like the tannest character of the. She stands next to Jet, and she's more tan.
How is this not whitewashing? Netflix?
Yeah. What the hell? What the hell, Netflix, man? See, again, where I'm trying to give you props here, and all of a sudden you just make me look like a damn fool, man. I think I do a pretty decent McConaughey.
Like, I mean, only when it's low.
Yeah, well, I can't do the loud one. It's not as much fun. But this way, when you do it loud, they have to listen to you. You know what I'm saying? All right. Anyway.
The Corgi was good.
So, overall.
Cute Corgi.
Final thoughts on the show. I'm glad I watched it because I had a lot of fun just talking shit about it while it was happening. And I had a lot of fun watching Eric be tortured by it as well. It's really fun.
Not even for like, literally like 99% of the show, I didn't care about anything.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, look, they're adapting this episode. Let's see how they did it differently here.
And
oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah, that was well done. Well, I mean, when they do it on the anime. So overall,
hey, look, this was an unnecessary change that made it actively worse.
Yeah, listen, the show adds nothing. There's no reason why it should have been made. I find it funny that Netflix lost a buttload of money here.
It doesn't expand upon the lore of the world. It doesn't give you a bigger insight into the characters.
It doesn't bring the characters to life, except maybe Jet and the Corgi. So it's one of those things where you're like, you know what? I'm happy this happened because Netflix lost a buttload of money, and it took them less than a month to realize how big of a shit show was. This shows you that throwing money at things doesn't fix stuff or doesn't guarantee that something's gonna be good. Like, this show could have been done with, I don't know, maybe It's not like Highlander where you're like they had too much money for their own good and they just did a whole bunch of crazy unnecessary stuff.
Listen, with Highlander, it was done with love.
It was done with love.
You could see every frame of that movie. It was full of love.
Yes,
and care.
But they had too much money for their own good.
Yes.
And they were like, we got to do something crazy here. Here, it's like, you see the money where it was used. It was just, the story is fucking terrible. Which, you're adapting one of the greatest stories and easiest to adapt in a way. Because we've already seen Firefly. You could have just done Firefly with the story of Cowboy Bebop. And it would have been fine. They just actively chose not to do it. They like actively wanted to do something that's different and groundbreaking, and no, guess what? Everybody hated it because you dumbasses. Because you did not. It's almost like the writer saw, okay, so this is what happens on the show, so I'm just gonna make something similar because and just we're gonna repeat this thing because that it was in the show. It's like, but you don't get it. You didn't understand the context around it. You don't understand what made it special. It's like I can almost picture it. It's like you gave a writer, this is your episode, this is what you're gonna adapt. Or a director's like, you're gonna get this one, you're gonna get this one, you're gonna get this one. This is kind of like the overarching story. This is kind of like the style, and just adapt that and kind of make it your own.
What, wait, are you telling me that after watching Ballad of Fallen Angels in episode 5, what you were thinking was not, hey, I really want to see Spike go up against Julia? That's not what it left you with?
No, I did not.
It didn't leave you with the idea of like, oh man, like
honestly, like I'm gonna be honest with you. The thing that I would look forward to the most is a vicious Spike team up to take down Julia. Like, I think that if you're gonna go original, because we saw them together, they had chemistry. The actors have chemistry. The whole line, they have like few really good back and forths. So
honestly, you feel bad for Vicious.
Yeah, because the other guy was a dick. He was a good friend. But anyway, I think that's good enough for today. The point is, overall, the show sucks.
And I cannot stress enough how much of a tragedy Faye's character is.
Yes. Honestly, the worst part of this show is...
Because
number one, the worst part of the show is Vicious.
Villain.
Yeah. Number 2, with a bullet, Faye Valentine. Bullet for my Valentine. Because...
that was good.
Thank you.
That was good. You came up with that right now?
Yeah, right on the spot.
That was very nice.
Thank you. I
Okay,
appreciate
I like
that. Because they completely changed her story in the key ways, and they changed her personality.
The only thing they kept is that she's an amnesiac who wants to learn about her past.
Kind of. But
I mean, I guess the scene where she sees a VHS, pretty good.
that's okay.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, but...
Because she's not talking.
But that led to, like, the biggest, dumbest fucking coincidence of all fucking time.
Oh, I fucking hated that.
Yeah, there's a coincidence. Like, she saw a VHS tape of herself when she was younger. She's standing in front of a house, and in this abandoned fucking amusement park, she saw a picture of that house in a billboard. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, are you for real? Are you serious?
That's pretty fucking bad.
Yeah, that's bad writing right there.
And that's one of those, like, there were a few moments that could have been nitpicky, but you can sort of see it's understandable that it could have been an overlap. There's an example. In the episode where Jet has this flashback where you see his backstory, he used to be a cop. He and his partner are going to go and, pick up this guy because they think he's a suspect. They go up to his room where they know he lives in his apartment, and as they're about to like go in, they see that the guy is actually just barely coming in from another set of stairs at the end of the hallway.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, oh shit, and then begins a shootout and a chase. You could be nitpicky there and be like, oh, they should have, him.
I was very nitpicky.
And he was like, oh, well, I mean, this is dumb because they should have like staked out the place.
Well,
for
police stake out stuff.
hours
I've had
and stuff.
conversations with detectives and they're like, yeah, you stake out. You don't go in there if you don't know what's in there. So you stake out the place. You see that the person's there, and then you go after him. That's what you do.
But it's one of those things that's like,
forgivable.
It could be an easy oversight.
And Eric's like,
they could have been like, maybe we didn't think that this guy was particularly dangerous. Like, maybe they just wanted to talk to him. So it's like, whatever. Turns out he is dangerous.
Oh, yeah. You don't think a guy's dangerous and they show up with guns drawn. Sure.
Well, I mean, they are cowboys.
They are. Well, no, they're not cowboys. They're cops. They were detectives. Anyway, so it's nitpicky stuff. I get it. But it annoys me.
But the Faye one is unforgivable.
Yeah.
That was like,
And
what's happening here? Like they are in an abandoned
amusement park
because Spike had a battle with a crazy clown guy.
She's trying to find Spike, who could be dead, and she starts looking at fucking billboards.
There's a random ass billboard that for some reason has a picture of her house.
That exact house. It's beyond stupid. And before we end this, speaking of Faye, Faye's character in the anime has kind of like two sides to her: the seductress and the hothead. Now, in the show, we mainly see the hothead in the Bebop, and that's kind of part of the sexual tension that she has with Spike, because they're always bickering, they're always at each other's throats, kind of, and they're like, oh, there's sexual tension there, there's stuff there. Here, we never even saw a glimpse of it, and where they might have actually been doing it, it's maybe they just didn't have any chemistry whatsoever, because
I guess they just went with the whole she's a lesbian, so whatever.
Because Faye is never like a seductress at all, not even a little bit. There's maybe one episode where the one where she gets shot and then shows up at the diner, where she's maybe trying to seduce somebody, but it's literally 2 seconds after she tries seducing somebody, she puts a gun on his dick. So that's really not a seductive thing. And the hothead,
I guess you could argue the tango scene.
The tango scene?
Yeah, where she's dancing with the guy and taking away his weapons.
I guess?
Which was ultimately pointless because she just ends up punching him.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Listen, okay, maybe that. But at the end of the day, you never see the seductress at all, which is Faye Valentine's most dangerous weapon. And you don't
it's funny because in the anime, it usually backfires on her.
Yeah.
That's part of the charm.
It's part of the charm of the show, because it's...
You know what? The original Bebop is kind of like Seinfeld. Because Spike is sort of like Jerry. He's the guy who things ultimately kind of work out for him.
Yeah.
And
I mean, debatable.
And Faye is more like an Elaine type, where she, they're both more so like straight characters, like in the terms of like playing it straight.
Ed's clearly Kramer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get it.
And Jet's like, the bidets, Jerry, the bidets. You can wash your feet. It's great.
Then,
but and things usually go bad for Elaine.
Uh-huh.
In spite of her, being smart, doing smart things, they end up going bad. And things end up sort of working out all the time for Jerry. Which is kind of what makes their interactions fun in Bebop.
Which is why she gets mad.
Yeah, because she's like, she can't use her charms on Spike. And even when she does, things sort of end up working out for him.
Yeah. It's funny. And it's well written in a way that it doesn't... Things happen to them in the anime, and things go wrong for them in a way that's logical and it makes sense, and it's because maybe their villains were more capable, maybe they had a plan B or something, whatever. And here in the show, things go bad for them because they made stupid, dumbass decisions. And so in the anime, you're like, that's a good choice. You should go with that. And then it turns out badly, and you're like, haha, you're just unlucky.
Like, for example, when Faye gets captured by Vicious, it's like,
It's unlucky. It's unlucky,
and it honestly...
it's part of the character. She always loses gambling, right?
Yeah, and also she's like, I'm gonna go by myself to get this bounty, because at this point she's not even like a part of the gang. She's like, I just found this bounty. I'm gonna snab it from these fuckers.
Yeah,
and it backfires on her because she effectively seduces the guard in front to get into the place without even like a ticket.
Yeah,
she gets him to like park her ship and everything. And, she's like, oh, yeah, I made it in. I'm sneaky. I did it. And then she gets a gun to her back and was like, all right, fuck. She's like, damn it, it didn't work.
Yeah. But it's, again, that's good writing. Yeah. It's, let's say, logical decision-making that leads to bad consequences. Here, it's just stupid decision-making leads to bad consequences.
And even if it's not logical decision-making, it's in character.
Yeah. So, of the three, the worst part, by far... And this honestly has nothing to do with the fact that she pissed me off before the show even began by talking shit about fans, is Faye Valentine. Like, it's disgustingly bad. But the worst part by far is what they did to my boy Vicious. They just completely neutered the guy. No pun intended.
I think I'm more upset about Faye because
you see her more.
She was that, and she's a way more integral character in
Faye is
in the anime.
Faye is more of an iconic character than Vicious. Vicious is just a random, like, cold-blooded Like it could be
Vicious is the anti-Spike.
Yeah,
He's Bizarro Spike.
yeah, and he's just like basically like a highly capable trained killer who's heartless. Which there's a ton of villains like that.
Yeah.
Faye,
Which is why you have to be careful when you're trying to adapt them, because if you don't get that essence right, then you don't even have a character.
Exactly.
Vicious is not really a character in
No.
the anime. He is, honestly, he's kind of like Julia in that regard. There's sort of like shadows of Spike's past coming back to haunt
They're
him.
more like entities. On the other hand, Faye Valentine is an iconic character for her look, for her style, for her personality. And they just were like, you know what, fuck it. We'll just keep the color scheme, maybe, and that's it. That's the only thing.
Strong women or lesbians, that's it.
Yeah.
Do you think straight women ever get mad?
That happens?
Yeah.
Listen, I would.
Like the only strong.
Like no, I've heard chicks complain about this. Like they're like, of course he has to be a fucking, because you can't have like a strong independent woman who's not a lesbian. And it's
they can't like dick.
They can't.
No,
It makes them weaker. We've talked about
liking
this.
dick makes you weak.
Apparently, and it's like, no, I mean, there's very strong female characters out there, but for some reason in the modern times, if you're gonna make a strong independent woman, she has to completely hate men, and the easy way for you to hate men is that, right, make her lesbian.
Also,
by the way, I know
also basically make her curse all the damn time.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't have witty dialogue, she just curses a lot.
Welcome to the ouch, motherfuckers.
I hate that.
Yeah. So I don't get it. Like they're actually kind of doing a disservice to chicks, I think. Like by trying to portray them one way, they're kind of like screwing them up. Like for example, like to me, the epitome of a strong, independent female character is and always will be a Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Right? Would you agree? Did you ever watch Buffy?
Oh yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Love that woman.
And they never actually had to add any of that dumb stuff. It was just her story. She had an obstacle in front of her. She had to find a way to she went through, she had to sacrifice stuff, she lost stuff, and she powered through. She kind of found a way to keep going, keep pushing forward, keep building her own destiny and all that stuff. That's all you need. It's the same story you could do with a male character, except, you know, it's just a female character, but they gotta add. Imagine like you got a strong male character, right? He has to be gay, and they've done it. It's just it doesn't work the same. Like for example, do you ever watch? Oh, this might be a spoiler alert. I'm not gonna tell you.
There's an anime?
No, there's a TV show where the main character is like a super manly guy and a guy's guy and a leader and all that stuff, and he's also kind of secretly gay. And it adds a different dimension to the character because you're like, oh my god, they've actually set this up throughout the show, and you're just as surprised as the people who are closest around him are surprised.
Is it Berserk?
No, I'm not gonna tell you. I'm not gonna tell you what it is. Is it Berserk?
Well, I mean, you read Berserk, right?
No, I didn't read Berserk. I saw the movies.
It's debatable.
Okay, but it's one of those things where it's like the character doesn't change, the personality, everything's still the same. It's just he had this kind of secret. Here, it's
what show?
I'm not gonna tell you. It's gonna be a spoiler.
Well, oh wait, you don't want to say like in here? Or are you just not gonna tell me?
I can tell you, but I'm not gonna say it here. It's a spoiler.
Oh yeah, that would be okay.
Because it's kind of like a big momentous reveal for a character. You're like, oh my god, I didn't see that happening.
You know what? Sailor Moon, good example actually.
Yes, excellent example of
She's a very, very, very flawed character, but she's a teenage girl who gets superpowers. Like
I'd be very flawed too. Like I'd be very flawed.
Like she's really dumb and very ditzy, but
lovable.
Has a heart of gold. Always, fights for her friends and all that.
Why can't they do? There's a Netflix adaptation of this, right?
What?
Of Sailor Moon.
No.
No?
No.
Are they working on it? No, there's a newer version of Sailor, because you watched all Sailor Moon, right?
The original, but
Okay.
they made basically it's Sailor Moon Crystal. I think that's what you're talking about. It's basically like a re-adaptation.
Okay.
Sort of like what they did with Fruits Basket and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Gotcha.
So they like redid it.
Is it good?
I haven't seen Crystal.
Okay.
The original is honestly still good. If you just want to like watch, some of the origins of shoujo magical girl anime, and it's very, it has that 90s charm.
Yeah.
That it's like, maybe this is not very important to the overall plot, but like these girls just went to like a mansion in on a hill for a vacation, and they ended up fighting ghosts. That's fun.
Yeah.
And one of them is like scared shitless because she's like, oh my god, there's ghosts.
You know what? I don't know. Maybe it's because I was a kid in the 90s, but there was something about being, sillier and accepting stuff in the 90s. Like you watch the premises of a lot of the movies that came out then, and you just kind of like, whatever, I'll just take it. It probably has to do with youth or whatever. Or things just don't adapt well now because of cell phones. A lot
Cell phones have really hurt a lot of things. They've hurt the horror genre so much.
Yeah, a lot of the problems in most movies could have been solved just with a phone call.
Yeah.
And so,
Home Alone.
Yes. Yes. And so maybe there was like a certain magic to it. And now, honestly, writers have a really difficult time. But no, you know what? Fuck you. No, they don't. Because they're still sci-fi. They've always been sci-fi, and they still manage to do it with sci-fi, and they have even better tech than we do now. So
yeah, it's like holograms. You don't need Wi-Fi and shit.
Exactly. You can just change your face and stuff like that. So I don't know. No, it's not an excuse. Just be better writers. Or adapt stuff in a different time period. That's what a lot of people do.
The problem is writers don't think things through logically. They just sort of go with whatever they think is.
You know what?
Cool.
My theory is writers just don't know things. They don't do research. Like, for example, I was talking...
And this was forgivable in the past when research was harder to find.
Yeah.
Wikipedia can tell you a lot nowadays.
Yes. And so it's one of those things. I was thinking about this when I was watching Hawkeye. And before, the rule was for writers is stick to what you know. To some people, it's like, all right, just writers tend to write about what they know. So that's why
Stephen King's characters are always the same.
That's why all their stories are about writers and shit like that, right? Or about movie people. But to me, what it means is do your fucking research and write it when you're writing about something, right? And I was watching the show Hawkeye, and one of the girls, like a few feet away, she gets hit by an arrow right here. Normal girl, supposedly no superpowers, and she kind of just takes it, rips it out like it's nothing.
That's a bad idea. You're supposed to leave it.
Exactly, yes. First off, you're supposed to leave it. Second off, you get hit with a 40, 50-pound bow, that thing's going to knock you to the ground. It's 40, 50 pounds, like, boom, arrow form, like hitting you, right? It should knock you down.
Did it go through a bit?
And no, she just, like, it hit her, and then she just ripped it out afterwards. So it's very bad. Like, that thing knocks down deer. It knocks down bears. And it was close range. And so to me, I'm seeing that it's like...
I mean, you've always seen the Hollywood thing where they shoot the guns at the cars and for some reason sparks come out.
Yeah, and so to me, that's one of those things, like, they just don't know things. Writers don't... The person who wrote this, or the person who did the choreography...
You forgot the one in the chamber.
You forgot the one... No, there's a moment in this episode, well, in this show, where Spike takes out, like the cartridge of a gun.
Okay, let's, like, recreate it.
So, like,
I'm like a guard, and I have a rifle.
Yeah.
And it has the
Like
cartridge. And I'm trying to shoot him.
So I move the other way and I take out the bullets, right? Take out the cartridge. The cartridge drops.
It's clever. He just removes the cartridge.
Like,
and it's like, oh no, my gun is worthless now.
But he forgot the one in the chamber.
The gun still has a bullet in the chamber.
Yeah. And both me and Eric were like, he forgot the one in the chamber. So it's one of those things, like
little things like that. Or revolvers shooting more than 6 times, even though we see the cylinder, you know?
Yeah, it's silly stuff. But what was I saying? Writers just don't know things, and it's become acceptable to be lazy when you're writing stuff when you don't do your research.
Well, I think the reason this happens a lot is because writers in the past, they didn't know stuff, and they didn't really have access to knowing stuff. You know, they didn't have access to the research we have now with the internet. Writers nowadays write based off what they've seen writers in the past do.
I guess.
Like, they are like, oh, I watched Terminator, and in Terminator, when they shot cars, the sparks came out, so yeah, I'm gonna I assume that's what happened.
Certain things are for, like, Hollywood effects, and I get it. It's very different how a bullet actually hits a car and the way that they show the sparks, and dude, that could be for, like, a visual something.
You've seen John Wick.
Yes.
John Wick is a realistic in the sense of it's a movie that pays attention to its continuity a lot.
Yes.
It didn't need to add that Hollywood stuff to make it special.
Mm-hmm.
It's a movie that just simply it was a well-made movie,
Intensity.
Good choreography, very intense. You didn't need to add that extra Hollywood crap
And
doesn't make any sense.
And you have our boy there, Keanu Reeves, who lets movies happen. He lets stories develop. He doesn't have to take over. He's just part of the ride. And so that works really well for John Wick, because the hatred of the man killing dog. And
stealing his car.
Of course, but the dog's the big thing.
I know, but I always find it funny that they add the second.
Yeah.
And you killed John Wick's dog and you stole his car.
Well, they needed an excuse. But anyway, or a way to find him. So it's one of those things that's just writers don't know stuff. Or they don't want to, or they break their own rules. So to me, it's more like they just hired too many different people and they didn't really communicate things well, or they didn't watch the actual show. They were just lazy. Like, honestly, this is a lazy adaptation in terms of story-wise. And that's the big issue here. Because visually, whatever, like, you got the costumes and everything, it's like, okay. Like, you can tell that they invested money in this shit. But it was not made with love. It was not made by a fan. It was not made by somebody who's like, hey, I understand the story. I understand why fans love it. I understand the thing that made it iconic.
You know what? Okay, I guess I'm just stuck with Faye. Like, maybe because she's on the screen. Don't put Ed on the screen again. Stick with this.
All right, stick with this. Faye, this chick.
What functionally makes her different to Spike?
Her?
Yeah.
Here?
Here. Because, okay, Jet, he's the old, he's the ex-cop who sort of has, like, that moral code, he's a lawful guy to a level. Spike is, like, sort of the younger, more aloof guy who is a bounty hunter. And now they made Faye the younger, aloof girl who's a bounty hunter.
Well, they
both have muddled pasts.
And they both ban chicks.
Yeah, it's like they removed what made Faye unique from the other two. Because she was a bounty hunter, but really because she just wanted the money.
And a loner.
She was more of a thief.
Yeah.
Really.
And she had massive trust issues.
Yeah. And they kind of removed that, and now she's just kind of a female Spike. And it makes me wonder, what's the point? Don't put Ed on the screen.
Listen, this was written by somebody who didn't know. Honestly, it also sounds like the actress had too much say in the character, which is always a bad idea. Listen, there's some really great actors there. There's some great actors who can write. Generally, a bad idea to listen to actors or to let them write their own lines, because that's how you end up with "Welcome to the Ouch, motherfuckers," stuff like that. And so it sounds like
that just came off to me as, how do you do, my fellow kids?
How do you
kind
do?
of writing where it's like, what do you like? This had to be written by somebody who was beaten up in high school.
Maybe, I don't know.
Right?
Like, listen, it's a moment you're about to shoot the shit. You can almost say anything and it's gonna work. Like, yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. Or if you end it with a motherfucker, it works. Usually, whatever you say.
Yippee-ki-yay doesn't mean anything.
Exactly. You should have just said yippee-ki-yay, to be honest.
You just said cowabunga, motherfuckers.
Oh, she could have just said yeehaw, motherfuckers.
Sure, cowboy. Yeah,
it makes perfect sense, right? But no, or something. A play on her name. Happy Valentine's Day, motherfuckers!
That's a good line.
Yeah, see?
You're doing good with the Valentine.
Thank you. Like, it gives you a lot of stuff.
Valentine's a great word.
Yeah. And so, it's stupid. It's badly done. It's a waste of money. I don't know what Netflix is doing, and I'm happy they wasted their money. And honestly,
how would you rank it in terms of adaptations?
Oh, fuck. All right, so, all right.
It's worse than... No. It's better than Death Note.
Listen.
But Death Note doesn't waste as much time.
Yes, that's the thing. Here's the thing. Well, this show has good moments in it. Death Note does not have good moments in it. Because this one, episode 9, good episode. There's...
Wait. Willem Dafoe as Ryuk was pretty good.
Okay. Here you got Jet, who's pretty good.
Oh, I know.
And the Corgi.
Oh, no, that was literally it.
Yeah, that's it.
But you said there was nothing good.
But I mean,
Willem Dafoe was good.
All right, fine.
But it's impossible for Willem Dafoe not to be good.
Yes, it's illegal. And so, I think this one's better. I'm torn about Attack on Titan. Because the thing with
Attack on Titan was so bad, it's good.
Exactly. It's like, it's so stupid. The second one more than the first one. The first one just made me mad because
Yeah.
they eliminated the mom. Mikasa was still alive.
Aaron doesn't make any sense as a character.
Mikasa is like a sex slave to
Levi's like this pervert.
to
like,
Levi.
He's like Steve Belichick.
A Titan blue balled Aaron, which was hysterical. So
that was a great scene.
that was fucking awesome.
He's like, oh my god, I'm gonna get laid, and then just get snatched up.
No,
Great.
this single mom. I had her. She joined the scouts as a single mom. This is the worst decision ever. So it has moments. And it does not really try. The second one does not try at all to be Attack on Titan.
No, it just has fun with it.
There's a fucking beach, a hologram beach, where Aaron is kidnapped. It doesn't make any sense.
You know, I think about those Attack on Titan adaptations, and I think with a smile.
But yeah,
With this one, I'm like, So, I think Attack on Titan.
Attack on Titan.
Above.
All right, so Alita Battle Angel is number 1, easy.
I'll go Alita Battle Angel, sure.
Number 2, it's hard to remember all the adaptations that I've seen.
I'll put Alita alongside the original Death Note adaptations, which I
Japanese
actually put
ones.
above the anime.
The Japanese ones,
Yeah.
because the better ending.
Just overall, yeah.
Okay,
Because honestly,
Well, okay.
Death Note lends itself very well to be a movie format.
I didn't see this one, Ghost in the Shell. What you think? Well, compared to Bebop,
Honestly, I didn't dislike the movie.
you didn't dislike it,
No, people had a lot of problems with the casting of Scarlett Johansson.
and her
'Cause,
not
like,
being naked.
Oh, she's supposed to be. I had a problem with that.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, but they're like whitewashing her because she's supposed to be Asian, and it's like,
She's a robot.
she's a robot. The entire point of her character is that she has had so many modifications to her body. It's the ship of the Theseus,
Yeah.
where it's like, is she even
Yeah.
like the same person anymore?
That's the one thing. That's the thing that bugged me about the movie.
Like,
When I saw that,
it's even debatable that she's even a man. Like, originally she was even a man. Like,
Well-
nobody knows who Major Kusanagi even was.
Well, the overall theme of Ghost of the Shell is what makes a human a human. You know?
Yeah.
It's a humanity. It's a question. What makes you human? Is it the soul? Is it the heart? Is it the brain? And so that's the overall theme.
So it's like her appearance changed. Yeah.
At the end, she's kind of like a little girl.
Well, I mean, even in the movie, they explained like who she was originally, and it's like, oh yeah, and then she went through modifications because she's a robot.
Yeah. So you think it's okay? I haven't seen it. It annoyed me.
I thought it was fine. Like, I wasn't upset at it.
All right. Fair.
I would rank it above this.
You would rank it above this.
Yeah.
Okay. What else have you seen that's an adaptation? Because I didn't see the Full Metal Alchemist one.
I saw the Bleach one. Holy shit, that was dog shit. But it was dog shit to the level that I had fun with it. I would put it above this one.
You would put it above this one. So
Listen.
there's such a thing about making things that's so bad it's good. Oh, Dragon Ball Evolution.
I never watched that, actually.
Okay, well-
but I heard it was such dog shit. I would probably put it at the bottom.
Yeah, I think that Dragon Ball Evolution is definitely worse than this one, and I think it's even definitely worse than Death Note. Piccolo's white. Yeah, you know who Piccolo is? It's the actor who plays Spike in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I can show you an image. Yeah, it's really weird. Piccolo, Dragon. It's Evolution, right?
Yeah. I don't know. The movie sort of lost me when I saw it was like a high school
See?
thing.
Spike.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's really. Oh, like, he looks green here, but he's supposed to look kind of like that.
I've only seen like a bunch of clips from the movie. I've never seen the movie entirely.
Let me see if I can put a big one so that everybody. You know what? It doesn't really matter. Stupid. Point is, it's not. Listen, this thing was always destined to fail, no matter how much money they threw at it.
I know Netflix is trying to adapt One Piece.
Oh no!
I have no fucking idea what they're gonna do.
You know what they're
I've
trying-
only seen the casting, and honestly, I don't hate it.
You know what they're trying to adapt that I just saw that I don't completely hate. I only hate because it's Netflix. Mega Man.
They made Mega Man.
They're going to adapt. They just got the rights for it, and so Mega Man is like, all right, I think it's adaptable.
Yeah, it's a simple story.
Yeah, but One Piece.
You can save it with CG. One Piece, I have no idea what the fuck they're gonna do. I'm guessing it's just gonna be the initial arc where they get to the Grand Line. But even then, that's like 100 episodes in. The intro to One Piece.
Oh, okay. I don't know if this counts. I don't think it counts, but kind of. The Last Airbender.
I was actually gonna mention that one because actually
there's a live action One Punch Man.
I wouldn't doubt they're making one, and if they are, I'd be interested.
Of course,
because I mean,
if they make it kind of like Hancock, that could be fun.
I like that movie Hancock. That was a fun movie.
Fun. Except the first half is better than the second half.
Yeah, sure. Oh fuck, what was his name? With what anime we were talking about?
Last Airbender.
Oh yeah, when we were talking about what is even the purpose of live action anime adaptations? Because it's not to bring people into anime. One thing, I think the show that is most responsible for bringing people into anime that is not anime is Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Sure.
It's a Western cartoon with so many anime-inspired things that people see, you know, they might be cruising on Netflix and be like, hey, this show has, like, action and powers and stuff. It kind of reminds me of Avatar: The Last Airbender. I might check it out. No one's gonna watch this and be like, oh, look, it's Cowboy Bebop. Like, oh, these people are, like, space cowboys and stuff. And then be like, oh, there's a cartoon, too? Like, that, okay.
To me, here's the thing that you don't get. When you adapt something is you're like, okay, this whole thing already has an audience, so that's good. I don't really have to sell it with those people. And second, you're like, this is a good story that I can just adapt to a different medium. That's pretty much it. So
you want to introduce a new audience to the IP.
Well, you kind of just want to get the story. You don't want to change it. It's like it's like, imagine, hey, there's a book. And I'm going to give you, like, you can adapt this book, and you're like, all right, I'm going to change absolutely every single thing in this book. It's like, why are you I'm just going to keep the same name and the name of the characters. And no, just do the same thing. Nope. Nobody's going to hate you for just doing, like, a shot-for-shot thing or the same story.
If they did a shot-for-shot of Bebop, I would have been like, this feels pointless to me. But, I mean, it's not bad.
They're portraying a good story for other people, just people who prefer live action over cartoon. And it's not going to be as good, but you're like, all right, fine, whatever.
And honestly, the English voice actors for Bebop in the anime are better at portraying the characters than these.
Yes.
Bebop is known for having probably the best English dub of all time.
Probably. And so that's kind of like the purpose. That's the purpose of adapting something. And so with what they did with The Last Airbender is, all right, we're going to adapt this for the fans of The Last Airbender. And so we're just going to jump to all these plot points and we're just going to ram it all in there. That's the problem.
Isn't this just exactly how you pictured it?
Yeah, they just ram this show, they just ram moments in there. They're like, oh, well, that was in the original. Haha. It's like, yeah, but you fucking blew it. The whole build up to that fucking moment, you kind of fucking killed it. Or I remember in The Last Airbender, there's a point where it's like, oh yeah, so we did this, and then we did this, and then my brother fell in love with the moon. You just skipped over the whole story. What the fuck are you doing?
Well, we only care about, the cliff notes, dude.
Yeah, so
that's all we care about.
I don't know. To me, it was this stupid show. All the stuff that they added original was mostly vicious stuff, and it was dumb, except episode 9, which was okay. Other than that, I'm happy. You know what? I'm happy it's canceled. Happy it got fucking canceled, especially after you see this. Spike! Spike!
Clean your hands.
I don't know what they're doing.
Hate it.
I don't know what they were doing.
I think somebody watched this entire show on like a Netflix executive. Yeah. And he was like, all right, so maybe we're like in between like green lighting a second season or not. Like we're like, oh man, this last episode is really bad.
Yeah.
They changed like everything. It's oh man. And then he saw the scene with Ed. He's like, oh no, if we make another season, we're gonna have this as a main character. This. And it's like, nah, I'm axing it. There's a hero within Netflix.
The man who pulled the trigger.
The man who's like, no, listen, this is where I make a stand.
Listen, it's, you've heard the term like final nail in the coffin.
Oh yeah.
This was not a final nail, man. This is like concrete being poured all over it.
A comet destroying the entire planet.
Holy shit. It just takes you so far out of it. It takes you so far out of it. It's bizarre. Like, I don't know and it's long. If they would have just made like Spike and then cut it, maybe. But it's like 30 seconds of torture. Were they trying to fill? It's Netflix. You don't have to fill in for commercials and stuff. What the fuck are they doing?
I think they wanted the fans to be excited. We're like, hey, look, Ed is in the show, which we already knew because she had made an appearance as Radical Ed before.
That was enough.
If they would have kept her like that,
yeah,
I would have been happy.
Oh, it'll haunt my dreams.
Uh,
Which sucks, you know.
Take it away.
Poor kid, because, you know, her portrayal is like, oh, yeah, I'm going to be cartoony and stuff. But no.
Yeah, I do feel bad for her. Because she was given this.
Yeah, somebody made a decision for her to do that.
Yeah.
They were probably telling, no, go bigger. Go bigger. And actually, while we were watching
I
it,
wouldn't doubt she actually watched the anime and she's like, well, I mean, this character's a cartoon, so I'll go with that.
I think that's what most actors do. And it's actually pretty funny because we were watching it. Eric was like, I feel exactly like Spike right now. I just want to lay down and die. Like, that's
No, like Spike is like all beaten up. He's like bloody, dying. I'm like,
yeah.
I identify Spike.
I identify. So that's it. That's it for today. I don't know what more we can say, to be honest.
Said a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot to talk about when there's anime adaptations and what is even the point.
And when it was shit, it was very much shit. But like I said, at the end of the day, I'm happy.
Go watch the Japanese Death Note movies. They're on Netflix. They're fantastic.
And at the end of the day, I'm happy I watched it because now I know. I'm in the know. I know. And I know why I hate it. I can explain it properly. But that's it for today. As always, any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can find me at Super Die World on YouTube and on Twitch. Streaming Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday at 10 a.m. ish. Tomorrow is not gonna be 10 a.m. ish. We're gonna do our NFL thing, but you gotta something at 10 a.m. right?
Oh yeah, I gotta go fix the car thing.
How long do you think that's gonna take? Should we just pre-record it?
A couple hours. We could.
No, because the games are not done yet.
Oh yeah.
We have games today. I don't know. We'll see when we'll do it. It'll probably be a little bit later, maybe 11, maybe noon. I don't got nothing to do afterwards. We'll see.
Let's play by ear.
Yeah. As always, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again next time.